What's up, everybody? I don't know. There was some weird stuff there um, with the intro, but hey, how's everybody doing today? Back with another Saturday video. Back in the the strange white room. So some of you, you may find I wrote a little. I posted a thing on Facebook. Just saying the show was getting ready to come on or whatever. And I put in there like, hope this doesn't get ugly. I can't say I really give a shit anymore. And I didn't mean for that to be as clickbaity as it is. I'm not actually mad about anything. I just want to talk about some nuance to things that seem to be coming up, both from within and from outside of, I don't know, atheist YouTubers or whatever. But so the thing I want to talk about is like so many of us have, and I'm sure damn near every one of you has had this conversation about, well, if you don't want ugly, I'm willing to leave. Thanks, Al. Take one for the team, huh? We've all had this conversation with different people who try to misrepresent what atheism means. You get a lot of them that try to tell you what you believe and all these other things, or that if you want to make atheist content, then you need to not do this and that and do these other things and oh shit, I about knocked everything over. But this has been a common thing, right? Where people try to, like, there's a problem with the label atheism. First of all, let's what's up, skeptic? There's a problem with the label. I mean, we don't have a term that means like you don't believe in unicorns, or you're an a-leprechaunist, or you're an a-fairyist, or whatever. Like, we don't have terms really for that, or labels that we use for that. So whenever atheism, which just simply means I reject, I'm not convinced that what you're claiming is true. I'm not convinced that I believe that a God exists, or that or creation, or whatever, however you want to put that. But that's all that entails. You don't have to have a YouTube channel to be an atheist. You don't have to go and fight for other causes. You don't have to go to protests. You don't have to make videos. You can sit and talk to bigots all day long and be an atheist. It doesn't affect your ability to do that. Now, that's a different conversation. And I completely support. We shouldn't be like, just platforming bigots for the sake of them to come and spread their toxic crap everywhere across the internet. Like, they do enough of that without our help. And there's all this, like, some people are for debates, some people are against debates, some people say debates are evil and the worst thing we could do. But as a creator, maybe like, I have members, I have like friends on here and stuff. I make videos regularly, so maybe there is some responsibility for me to I don't know, foster the community and audience that I build. Like, at least I feel that way. But if you don't feel that way, that's fine too. You don't have to. What is going on? I see something sticking up on my beard and it's driving me nuts. You don't have to feel that way. Like, you don't have to do anything other than not accept that a God exists to be an atheist. You don't have to do any of that other stuff. And everybody continually going around and saying, well, if you're not You're a bad atheist because you talked to this bad person, or because you didn't stand up for my cause, or this other cause, or whatever. And that's just bullshit. You don't owe anyone anything to be an atheist. You don't owe anyone anything to even call yourself an atheist activist. You don't even have to have a YouTube channel or talk or do any of that to even have that same label. And most of the people that I would consider actual activists in this space, I mean, don't get me wrong, getting on here and talking about stuff is activism. It's a good thing. I'm not trying to say it's not, but it just so happens that most of us, I don't want to say most of us, because there's a huge right-wing atheist area, I guess, whatever. Like, there are right-wing atheists. But, like, look, I happen to agree with you know, trans rights or human rights. I care about racism and bigotry and harm in all of its forms, for a number of reasons that don't have anything to do with being an atheist. It just happens that because of the position it puts you in, and the epiphanies you're making, and the lifelong things that you're seeing whenever you deconstruct from Christianity, that many of us end up kind of in that same area where it's like, oh, well, we realize we care about people, we care about those things, and what happens, like, look, I am 100% for anybody standing up for those causes or any other cause. I mean, hell, I'm wearing a black non-believer shirt today. I mean, I care about those things. Um, the But just because I care about those things doesn't mean that as an atheist YouTube channel that I owe anything else to anyone. I don't have to confront those things. I don't have to do that stuff. I choose to do those things. Um, you know, whenever, whether I have a person on my channel, and there's been dozens, and Jess can tell you this as well. There's been dozens of people that I was going to have on my channel, found questionable things that they were putting out, anti-LGBT stuff and all that, and I don't want to promote bigots, so I didn't. But that's my choice. It's not because I'm an atheist. It has nothing to do with atheism. And I feel like that, and let me just throw this out there, because Jay made a video last night about many of these very things. And let me just put out there, I agree with Jay's position. Me and Jay are friends. I love Jay to death. I agree with his position. What I don't agree with is that somehow as an atheist, it becomes your job to do those things. Jay pointed out a number of things, talking about talking to your family and all those things, and you should be having these conversations and stuff. And I agree, but also I understand that you have to find your voice to do those things, right? That's one of the main things that I've promoted on this channel, is that I want you to see just a regular dude sitting here. That's why when I go do debates and talk to people, I know how to study and prepare and to build like an actual formal debate. But debates on YouTube are a fucking joke. So I treat them that way. I don't prepare for them. I don't sit and do that. I don't take notes during them usually. Depending on how long they make the openings, I might. But like, do you understand that if people don't learn how to have these conversations by watching other similar conversations, and there's other means, of course, if you don't learn to use your voice to do those things, you're never going to be effective with it anyway. I mean, you might get lucky. I'd rather have conversations too, John. I don't. The debates that I've done, like I debated Hovind and stuff. The first Hovind debate was just for the Ark Encounter stuff, because I wanted to get some people to come to it. And then the second one, I really just wanted to show that you can throw Hovind off his script really easy. And that's what I did. But the I'm not. Don't misunderstand me here, because I'm not mad or upset with anything that Jay said. I agree with Jay, and I agree with others that say these things. Right here we have, and there's a number of people that say this. Probably part of the woke atheist cult. Yeah, yeah, no problem. But the woke atheist cult isn't atheism. It's you're an atheist, and you've formed this alliance with other people who agree with you on things and stuff like that. And I don't, like, I'm for those things. And anybody that watches me and knows my channel knows that I don't put up with that bullshit. I don't put up with bigots and all that bullshit. Like, if you come on here, you're going to behave, and we're going to talk about the thing we came to talk about, or we're not going to talk. Like, that's how I handle that. But if you've messaged me, because I get a lot of emails from people. I'm talking to like a couple different theists right now that want to have conversations with me about Discovery Institute nonsense and just all kinds of different stuff, right? And so a lot of those times, what I've had to learn to do because of things that have happened in the past, because I had to take a few bumps in the past, what I've learned is whenever these people send me these messages, go check them out. Let's go, not like do a deep dive into, get their social security number and all that stuff. I don't need that much. But I go check these people out, and I look at their YouTube channels, and I look at their social media to see if they're just using their platform to spread bigotry and hate, or if they're actually someone who's wanting to have honest conversations about these things. I'm sorry I keep moving the phone, guys. You thought my janky setup on the bed was bad. You should see what I'm doing now. Um, the I don't think that anybody loses from having honest discourse if you can get to that. There is, and that's the thing, is we've all had to learn, is there's some nuance to this. Like, some of the stuff Jay talked about last night. And again, I agree with him on those topics, and I agree that if you care about those things, it's past time. We need to, like, those of us that agree on those things need to stand up and do it. But also, I feel like that whenever we talk about atheist movement, atheist activism, atheist YouTube, atheist community, which, Let's Farm said, after Joe's debate with Kent, I want to debate Kent on the age of the earth. Now, it's not necessarily debating Kent, but this is what I wanted from that Let's Farm. I wanted people to hear the things that we're talking about and say, hey, I want to talk about those things. And look, I understand, like, I'm not an expert. I get things wrong. I'm, I'm by no means any kind of genius or anything of the sort. I'm just a regular dude from Kentucky. But I can care about these things too, right? Like, I can go and have those conversations. And I don't think me having those conversations that are prompting other people to have those conversations, even though I didn't prepare, I didn't do it right, I didn't do any of those things. That list of stuff, I didn't do any of that. Even though I didn't do those things, people still benefited from that conversation. And I still care about those other things. But those other things are not atheism. Your debates are more conversational than those I've seen. I don't expect debates necessarily exchange. I mean, like MDD viewers are more. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. If you remember Tilting Windmill, I think you've been around long enough that I never wanted to do debates. That was never like, well, at one time very early on, I don't think you were here then, but I started out, I wanted to do some debates and stuff, and I thought that's what I needed to do, because I was looking from the outside in at a bunch of bigger channels rather than considering why I wanted to do this. And there was a whole thing with MDD and Matt and all that, and then I had a whole moral crisis on my hands about like what I was doing and why. And so I changed things up and because I wanted my channel to be about something different. The it wasn't the first real Yeah. Yeah. James allowed me on it. My first debate was on MDD, just so you know. But that was later after that. My first debate was on MDD against T-Rock. And I think I won that debate on the facts. But so one of the things that's been talked about is like, oh, well, you're not a professional, you're not an expert, and all that nonsense about debating people. Well, first of all, the person I was debating wasn't an expert in that field either. But and maybe stupid reason to have a debate. But YouTube is entertainment. That's what YouTube is. YouTube, sure, we use our platforms for other things, and we do that about the things that we care about, because you'll find that everybody has, and this is, I think, the same problem of why morality doesn't work for Christianity, but we all have things that we weigh out differently. It's been over 2 years since I did the debate, Tilting Windmill. But on there, me and James had a falling out, and then I spoke kind of harshly about MDD and have ever since. I was speaking out against MDD before the thing with Matt happened, and so were a lot of other people, don't get me wrong. The thing with Matt and Andrew Wilson was just the flashpoint that made it go to where, you know, the 30 or 40 people within the atheist realm that all make videos about the same shit every time something happens covered it. So I didn't. But the if you have no content, James will. Oh, well, now to be fair about that, Let's Farm, when I started my channel, I had contacted James, and it wasn't until I hit 500 subscribers that he contacted me back. So to be fair, you know, yeah, no, a lot of people have boycotted MDD. I'm just saying it grew to a bigger thing within the atheist space after the whole thing with Matt. There was a lot of people that covered it, and that's the reason that they don't watch it. I always thought MDD was kind of crap. But again, I started my channel with different goals in mind. My big problem was that it was completely unprofessional, unorganized, and they made me look stupid because of their disorganization. I don't know what the word is. This is Kentucky. We don't have that many words. But you know, like the whole thing. Of course, the thing with Matt and Andrew Wilson was a I don't want to say viral, because I don't think it was that, but it was seen by a lot more people, and it was out there more, and a lot of people covered it, and it was you know, and I have a lot of feelings about both sides of that. You know, I think that Andrew Wilson is a piece of shit, and that he uses platforms only to go and be a bigot. And I think that, well, I'm not going to get into it because it's just going to cause divide whenever I say that. But Andrew Wilson's a piece of shit and ruined that whole thing, but I don't think Matt was squeaky clean in it either. So, and MDD certainly wasn't. And I know for a fact, I know it from the people who were there and heard it, that Andrew Wilson had planned to do that from the beginning. They told him Matt would leave. He said he was going to do it anyway, and they put him on stage to do exactly that. So, you know, take that as you will. But yeah, that whole thing was a fucking. It was. It just showed that even in a live setting, they were willing to let bigots come and say harmful, hurtful things to people for views, and that sucks. I mean, it sucks because you're a better debate platform. What's up, peoples? Hi, everybody coming in. Sorry, I'm kind of in my head ranting at the moment, not really paying attention. sorry, I have a mute button that actually works. But anyway, on from MDD. Look, there are like Tilting Windmill said a little bit ago, probably part of the woke atheist cult or whatever. Like, that's cool. I'm like, I stand for all those things too, and have had many discussions about them and put many bigots in their place because of them, including in my personal life. Um, the the thing is, though, is that even if I didn't do that, it doesn't change me being an atheist in any way. Or if I did more of that, like, those two things are not the same thing. And the real harm isn't in telling the real harm is whenever you're driving people away from sitting and hearing things that may help them in their deconstruction, or may help them to see better and think better and do better, politically, socially, however. You know, the one of the and one more time, I agree with Jay on these issues. I just, being an atheist and making content, I don't owe anyone anything, and neither does anyone else that makes content or not. Or to be an atheist, I don't have to make content. I don't have to talk about it ever. I don't ever have to say a word. Now, you can say whatever you want about my personal, like, obviously, I'm not that person. I felt the need to set this up and say a word, and my goal is to get other people to use their voices and say things. And a number of people that I'm friends with, I've talked to them, and they've started channels or taken part in other channels, or they do get out there and talk. But one of the, which I thought was a really good comparison that Jay made, was that he said that, um, he said that he compared it to Uncle Bobby teaching self-defense classes, and this was a better metaphor than he had made previously. And it was because in this situation, he makes the metaphor comparing it to, like, why Uncle Bobby does that so that those people can fight and protect themselves. But he's talking about, like, teaching people to fight here. But in that metaphor, who is Uncle Bobby? Who is the student? Who is the victim? Whenever we set up that metaphor, it turns out that the people who are using their voices are the teachers. And if you're going to use that metaphor, then you have to accept, you can't just say that you should be out doing this, you should be doing this as an atheist, because those things have nothing to do with atheism. They're right, and they're what we should be doing, I agree, but not because we're atheists. It has nothing to do with that. Um, the I don't understand the concept of needing to have one's handheld as an adult through deconstruction, but that's also just me not being able to grasp that, because I don't need that, but some do. Yeah, no, and I agree with you, Simami. I was better off on for me working my way through it myself. I didn't talk to anybody about it whenever I started, like, having, like, going through that. I don't know, because there's not really a method to it, like, it's just sometimes I got into reading stuff or whatever, but I liked to figure that out on my own, because at the end of the day, whenever it comes to belief systems, it's all about you. It doesn't matter about any of that other stuff. The It's what you believe is to be true. And whenever it comes to this type of faith belief, and whenever I say faith, I mean faith as in belief in the unseen, unsubstantiated belief. Make believe is what faith is, right? Faith is faith is believing in something even in the face of evidence to the contrary, or without any evidence at all, right? So, and there's some argument there about the term like pistis in Greek and all that, but like we're not going to get into all that deep shit. The the thing is though is that whenever it comes to faith, it's a dishonest position because you have to believe things in the face of things to the contrary. You have to, or that's what takes place. Because I hold that beliefs are not a choice, right? Like you're either convinced something is true, or you're not, or you're convinced it's not true. It can be any one of those, and there can be a whole spectrum of positions in between there about what you think is true. Because as long as you're pulling gods out of your ass and defining them into existence the way you want them, you can do it any way you want because it's bullshit. It's make believe. The people who wrote Mother Goose nursery rhymes could have wrote them any way they wanted. They didn't. They could have wrote anything. It's the same thing. I think Jay is saying in his political climate that should go harder, and you getting hung up on the terms like what is atheism. And things is just getting worse fast than what we're doing. I think what Jay was doing was the harmful thing, honestly. I think he conflated atheism with socio-political ideology. And I think that then he tried to take that and weaponize it to tell people that you're bad and you're doing wrong unless you're doing these things. And I think that's where it was wrong. Now, let me say it this way, though. Again, I agree with those other things, but those other things and agreeing with them are not the same as atheism, and it's no atheist responsibility to do any of that shit. You have whoever you want on your channel. You talk to whoever you want to. You do it whatever way you want to do it, and one of a few things will happen. Either people will watch, or they won't watch, or they'll attack you, or they'll support you. I mean, those things are going to happen no matter how you do this. Humanists, right? Humanism is a different topic. And again, for those of you that are coming in, and yeah, Jay Bundy, those of you that are coming in and catching the end of this, I'm not bitching about what Jay said. I agree with Jay. I just think there's some refinement that needs to take place on some of the fallacious things that he said, where he conflated things and equivocation and stuff like that. And that's my only bitch about it. It's not Jay's wrong and he shouldn't say these things. That's not what the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make, come into your voice the way that you do it. However it is that you have these conversations, they're good. But there's bad actors out there, right? We all know that. We just talked about Andrew Wilson. If I was getting ready, having these conversations is a good thing. There is an atheist community. There are a lot of them. Well, there's an atheist community on YouTube, and then there's atheist groups, but those people are disjointed and not part of the same thing. That's why I throw that up whenever I say atheist community. That it's not. Again, it's not a hit. It's not. Don't take me the wrong way, please. It's not anything else. Humanism is the term everyone actually means when we tiptoe around the subject. Sure. No, I think that would be a better. I'm starting a new channel called Atheist Dancing in Their Underwear. I'll make a video for you, Dr. Mordecai. But let me go back. Sumami said something important. Humanism is the term everyone actually means when we tiptoe around this subject. I think so too. I think that there is a better path to bring those topics in under a humanism discussion. It was someone in the chat who said there is no atheist community. Oh, yeah, okay. I got you. And by the way, good to see you, Casey. It was a pleasure to meet you, and we had an excellent talk over at Jim's house. We had a good conversation. It was great to meet you and talk to you. I spent more time talking to you than GE, and I was a fan of his for years. I mean, I still am. Don't get me wrong. But anyhow, I just feel like there's there's a lot of people right now. And I know we've had the leopards eating your face conversation a number of times, but there's a lot of people right now who are wanting to get away from the right wing and some of their, because especially in the South, and those of you here in the hi John. Other John. Everybody in my chat's named John. The No, there is not. There are people who don't believe all over the world, and we don't agree on basic things like human rights, climate change, and humanists. Yes, I agree. I agree with that. There are people who don't believe everywhere. I watched an awesome video the other night of a young lady in Iraq. It was either Iraq or Iran, one of the two places, where, it's not cool to be an atheist in like, they'll like chop your head off and stuff. The and she was talking about these things from there. Now, I think that, there may be I seen you, Sumami. I was just looking over the comments. I'm just commenting on what you said. I know, I see the conversation. Yeah, and to what Casey's showing, all the best people are called John, or the misspelling Joe. Yeah, right. Yeah. The the thing about being an atheist is that all that it requires is that you're not convinced that God exists, right? I mean, that's the definition I've settled on, is that, which is out there too somewhere. There is a oh, by the way, I can put up a link if anybody wants to join. I forgot all about doing that. Yeah, this is an open panel, isn't it? Let's see. How do I make links? Anybody know? Anybody know how to work EVMux? I've only had it for a year now. Boom. Will somebody pin that for me? Can you pin that, PC, if you're still here? Will you do that for me, please? So I don't have to fuck with my phone opening YouTube, because I stream from my phone now, if you didn't know. But anyway, back on topic. All it requires is that we agree that we're not convinced that God exists. And I loosened that terminology up a little bit, because before, and let me show you how important this is. I had a different idea of what I called atheism. I looked at the word etymologically, I think it's the right word. And I said, well, theism, the belief, whatever. And then atheism is not theism, is the root of where that word comes from. So anything that's not theism is atheism. But because, at least under the new atheism standards, I know that people have like decided atheism means different things, and that's why I have a problem with the label to begin with. But I went with, I'm not convinced what you're saying is true, because I think that gets you there, and it shows that whenever you get into your God doesn't exist, and I believe there is no God, which I do believe there is no God, and I think that God is probably impossible. I think that Jesus didn't exist. Um, all those things. But like, I'm not going to sit and tell you that I'm going to prove to you God doesn't exist, but I'm sure, I feel like I'm sure that God doesn't exist the same way I'm sure that leprechauns didn't create everything yesterday, right? Like, there's no way to prove a negative, first of all, and there's no way to test supernatural claims. So there we are. But at the same time, it's like, I think it's just as likely as any of those things. And I do understand that there's like a bit of a difference in religious belief in that, but not a whole lot. I mean, I don't think you could get away with calling it an equivocation fallacy. Maybe. I don't know. Someone tell me if you think so. Um, if Jeebus did, then there was a bunch of dudes they coalesced into one character, which is totally bad ideas, Ryder. Yeah, same thing with Moses for sure. Um, sure you laugh now. Just wait. The I think that early on, whenever people were questioning stuff and YouTube began to grow, the first thing I started seeing was like the Hitchens debates and never mind what you think of these people now or whatever, but Richard Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss and Hitchens and Stephen Fry and on the atheist side, a lot of those debates and stuff. That was the first thing I started seeing, and then I got introduced to like atheist YouTube stuff. I actually think GE's channel was the first one I subscribed to whenever, and it was definitely the first one I was like a member on the channel. Was you know if you haven't noticed um while GE and I don't have the same accent, you can tell we're kind of Bible beltish. And I listened to what he was saying, and I'd already been a fan of Aaron Raw. I'd seen Aaron at this point, but I was watching Aaron on like the Atheist Experience at the time or whatever. But people started talking and saying things, and it made sense. And the more that I watched and absorbed the things, most of the things that I like know, which whatever, but I'll be the first to tell you I'm not the smartest person, but most of the things that I know about this subject and that I talk about when it comes to this are things that I learned the exact same way by people talking about this. So we can't ever shut down communication completely just because it's not what needs to be going on in this other area at the time. Uh, it doesn't have to be either or, that's actually why I wore the Black Non-Believer shirt today. I'm an atheist and I support black non-believers. Like, you could do more than one thing. But be careful about rolling those things into one group, because then you start to you may gain people, and it may be for a cause that you care about and is doing good and falls under humanism and all those things, but you're also alienating some other people, and you shouldn't be doing that either. That's the one thing that, like, the big fight that took place on this channel over the whole alphabet community thing and stuff was there was nobody here that was really, well, I think there ended up, like, by the time it played itself out, there was one or two people in the chat who didn't like it. But for the most part, most people told me personally, I'm not really offended by it, but there's people that are, and they showed me sources for that, and I agree, and it's something that shouldn't be said, and I took care of it because of that, right? Like, but why did I do that? Why did I take care of it? Because even those people that aren't here, we shouldn't be saying harmful things that can hurt them either, right? And I know you can't always take everybody's feelings into account when you say something. I get that. But, like, as a channel and a creator, I feel a responsibility to my audience to not alienate new people, or have some new person come look at my channel and see that kind of talking and be like, I don't want shit to do with that, and I'm going to go tell everybody else too. Like, I don't want those things. And it's not just from a growth perspective or like YouTube money or whatever. I don't make shit off YouTube, man. Like, I honestly, the most of the money that I've had the last couple months has been because I have a YouTube channel. Well, not because of that, but stemmed from that. And some people have had to help me because we had to like move out and was like homeless and don't have stable living and don't have a car and don't know what we're going to do and just had to up and relocate overnight. I mean, like, I'm not going to get into all the details of that stuff, but like, so it's not for the, like, if it wasn't for the people that have helped me in the last, especially month or so, um, I for sure wouldn't be doing videos right now. Like, yeah, it's been bad, but um, and but because when I mention those numbers and I talk about that, it's not because I care about the profitability of it. I care about reaching people. I care about growing this community and creating conversations, right? I care about, um, you know, I should do it since we got it here. I should do my GE impression of the stand up and use your voice thing. I should do it. Well, not right now though. I'm like, I'll wait and do it better later. Um, the uh, But the thing is that, just like a number of creators talk about, is like the reason that we do this, that it's not because I think that I'm going to prove some apologist wrong and it's going to change anything that way. I do it so that you guys can watch and see how I deal with these things. As somebody who's not an expert, as somebody who lives in the Bible Belt, grew up for 25 years as a young earth creationist, and eventually found their way out of it. Someone who grew up in a racist household, a bigoted household in eastern Kentucky full of fucking rednecks. Like, I talk about these things so people can see the perspective from somebody that made it out from my position, right? Not because I think there's some profound thing there or whatever. It's because when I learned these things, it made me feel the need to talk about it. And that's the key to this, right? You cannot expect people to go out and stand up for causes if they don't know how to talk about those fucking causes. Like, you have to have these conversations with people so that they learn these things, so that the people watching learn these things. All right, I missed a bunch of comments here. Hold on. Dead as a result of death. My grandfather died when I was 6. I could not understand. I'd never see him again because I had a cat die, several goldfish. Death makes sense to me. I agree. They're both in the wrong, and people were trying to fix it. Yeah, I'm not gonna read. Line. Hold on. Line is better for kids. Isn't it better to teach kids to make every day count rather than suggesting? Yeah. Oh, I think education's at the root of all this. Caitlin, say that you're bringing what? Be encouraged. There's also right. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading through the chat to make sure nobody was trying to talk to me. I know you guys are having a conversation out there, which is fine. That's part of this too. Um. You know, it seems like, and I know I haven't been making a lot of content lately. No, you guys are fine. Go on, do your thing. And I haven't been making a lot of content. There's been a lot going on. I do have things in the works, and I've got a big surprise for you guys Monday. Tune in Monday at about 1 o'clock. I have to let me check that time. Don't go by that time yet. But I'm gonna have a co-host, a live co-host, and we're gonna talk about things. We're gonna do something that's not really well, not being done in the way that I'm going to do it. We're going to do something new. We're going to have new subject matter and new conversations, and you're going to get to know a new person. Laura, who is my girlfriend, is going to join me Monday, and the plan is to do that weekly and talk about being two atheists in Eastern Kentucky, raising a kid, sending them to public school, and all the Christian nonsense, and talking about our experiences together, dealing with it, and the things we've seen and did, and all that. And I know that there's like other couples that Dr. Oz and Jenna do a great show and stuff, but I'm going to bring Laura on and let everybody get to know her, and she's met several of you now, and made friends with a few of you and stuff, and I want us to sit down and have conversations about. First of all, it's going to be like there's multiple things that are going to be going on because number one, Laura, while she is a non-believer, she's not into like any kind of activist side of it, or like she could care less talking about all the history and stuff. She doesn't believe it's true, and she doesn't care. I think the word is atheist. But we're gonna have some interesting conversations, and I think her and I have I think we have a dynamic that'll work well on video. I think it will. I think there'll be a lot of funny moments because we like to goof off and have fun with each other. So it should be interesting. Noah, my son, not the guy with the magical zoo boat, but Noah, my son, went back to school this week, and so it's freeing up some time during the day for the atheist adults to spend time doing things. And so we're gonna do a weekly thing, probably weekly. I mean, she may not make everyone because she has her own life and things going on, but she said she would. So Trump's immigration policy on Let's Debate. Trump's immigration policy is genocide brown people, ain't it? Is that what it is? I act like I don't know. I know. Anyway, but yeah. So we're gonna do that Monday afternoon, and if you can't make it to the live stream or whatever, watch it after. It'll be a fun show, and I would like to eventually, whenever things, I've got a stable place to live and surviving a little better. Hopefully, I would like to reinstate the call-in thing. Only have Laura and I do it together, and let people call in and talk to us about whatever. Not as like strictly a call-in show, but just have it there so that they can, if they want to, so that people can interact with us in any way they want, whether they want to join or whatever. I'll probably put it on Discord too, honestly. I don't know. I may put it on TikTok too. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I'll figure out all that tonight. I've got to. Jess and I are supposed to do an RFRX Monday night, talking about the Ark Encounter protest. I think, like, just that we did it or whatever. Like, that's. I don't know a lot of details on that. Jess is dealing with that, so I'm not gonna. But it's. Hey, it's Jess. What time is that thing? It's like Sunday night or Monday at 8, isn't it? Isn't that when it is? That's when we're gonna be on there. Anyway, so yeah, there's some stuff coming up, and trying to get back into 8 p.m. Eastern Monday. Cool. And hey, Jess, how are you? And hi, Seth. I didn't say hi to you, I don't think. Let's Farm, Tilting Windmill, PC, Paul Rothwell Smith, Dr. Mordecai. Hey, everybody. So, what time is it? Anybody know? Oh, I can see down in the corner how long I've been streaming. But anyway, we're going to do some stuff together. I've got to work on some, like, setting that up and making it, like, presentable, I guess. But we're going to do it for sure. That's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And even though there's been a lot of drama and nonsense between then and here, I'm still going to do it. And, yeah, so check this. I can smoke the vape and the cigarette at the same time. We got both. Now my cigarette tastes like lemons, which is fucking gross. Don't do that ever. I probably should quit smoking, but definitely on stream. But anyway. So, that's all the ranting and stuff I want to do about those things. Again, I've put the link out. It may be pinned. It may not. Here, I'll post it again. I can't see any of that from here. For the time being, all my streams are coming from my phone. So, I don't have the control that I used to have over the video and what I can do while it's playing and stuff. I have to put everything up on my computer first and then go join with my phone and go through it all. But well, I thought it was pinned. I thought maybe I had asked PC to pin it, but I didn't even know if she was still here or heard me or even can do that. I think she can. I think her or Robin or Jess. Jess can for sure pin it. Jess is administrator on the channel. She can pin it for sure. Will somebody pin that link for me? Please. But yeah, if you want to join and whatever, we ain't got to talk about that stuff anymore. I don't want to drag anybody else into a conversation. I know that. Yeah, PC is a managing mod, and I think Robin is too. But Jess is actually a channel administrator. She can do everything. She can go delete videos and all that if she wants. But I don't. I try not to ask much of PC because I see what she does everywhere else. But thanks for being here, PC. We'll have to talk soon. I'll have to give you a call soon so we can talk. But yeah, I want to do some new stuff and get some new people on. One of the people that I want to have a one-on-one conversation with is actually GE, who was listening today. I don't know if he's still out there, but I want to sit down and talk with GE about mythicism. I've got questions. I actually believe that, well, I don't accept that you can make the claim that Jesus ever existed. But I also take the position that it doesn't really matter, because even if we say like there was never any person, period, which whatever, there probably wasn't. It seems like there wasn't. Even if there was some apocalyptic preacher that it's based on, the Jesus character in the book is not Jesus the person. They're not the same entity. They're not the same agent. So I would like to have a talk with GE about some mythicism stuff. Me and what is it? What's that author's name that I talked to? Had a really great conversation. Fitzgerald. Who was that? The guy that wrote the book Nailed and oh, I feel like an asshole because I forgot his name. I talk to him in chat every now and then. I can't. Anyway, David Fitzgerald, is that right? Yeah. Me and him had a talk about mythicism that went really well. I think that it was an interesting conversation, and talking to David was awesome. I've read a couple of his books; they're great. But yeah, I'd like to have another conversation about that. And I know that like it's kind of been done or whatever, but like I just want to have the conversation for my own. There's no like, just for my own enjoyment. There's no goal. We're going to talk about mythicism and well dick. So watch out for that if I can persuade you to do it. The uh, let's see. Oh, in my last, whenever I debated Kent over on Let's Debate, he had said something. He brought up whale hips or something. He said something about it in the middle of it. There was some comment that where he didn't really go down that road, and I was hoping he would because I was going to bring up whale dick. I was going to have a whole whale dick debate with Kent Hovind. Uh, but dude, Kent's crazy, man. Did anybody see Austin Sims call Kent the other day? That's funny. Historically, Jesus did exist. You can't make that claim. You don't have the evidence to support that. What is up, Objective Ethics?
Hey, brother, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be rude. I got your Discord message, but I didn't realize there was actually a time for this, so I wasn't quite ready for it. But I happened to see, for some reason, I didn't get a notification your video posted, so I'm coming in here really late.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. In fact, what I was going to say, I almost topped it in the email I sent, or the message I sent you. I was going to say, why don't you join the second hour so I can get my rant out of the way and you don't have to. I say a lot of things that if I was to have guests on to comment on, it would start a bunch of fighting and stuff. So I try to say those things by myself, and then and then have people on and let them get in fights about their own topics.
I could respect that, brother. I'm a pretty non-aggressive. Well, it depends on what I'm doing these days because I've been getting into a lot of debates with Christians about some topics that I'm emotionally charged about, like bigotry and some of these other issues, slavery, and it's stuff that I feel is harmful about the religion. So I try to
Yeah,
maintain a respectful attitude, but sometimes I have to admit, just I'm a human like anybody else, and I can get a little bit fired up.
yeah, yeah. No, no. I feel you. Hey, you dealt with Lionheart, didn't you? You argued with Eric, didn't you? Was that you or someone else?
I don't recall the name. I had a debate recently about objective morality, and it was against a gentleman named Ray. I don't know if you happen to catch that or not. It was a pretty interesting debate. It was my first formal debate, and everybody says that I won that debate. In fact, so far, 100% of the people have said that I won the debate. Um, but I touched on some pretty gruesome stuff from the Bible. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, no, I did watch. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched big chunks of it and had to step out a couple times. But I did watch it, and you did a good job. I think I am. Look, I think that anyone, I like. I think that you were well prepared and that you laid out your position clearly and did a great job of that and covered all the things you needed to cover in making those premises. And I think that you did a really good job of that. Um, I like to. One of the things is that like so when we talk about um, what's true is I don't want to get into objectivity. Please, not an objectivity talk. It's your name though, so let's do it. So anyway, like there are things that are objectively true, right? Like in nature, right? That it's true whether we discover it or know about it or whatever. Like there's truths that we have yet to incur. The the thing with the morality conversation is that their position, first of all, is full of shit, um,
Oh,
and has no truth to it, which is in your favor, right? Because you could not prepare at all and still make them look silly without ever making a point one, right? Like that's the problem with that argument. It's I think that uh, objective morality is the worst argument that apologists have. I think it's so. whenever the source for them to know what God wants as their morality is the Bible, right?
Right.
That's. I mean, there's some inflection that or introspection that goes on there, but there's primarily it's the Bible, and people read the Bible and then they prioritize their morality the way that they see it by their experiences in their life. So for
Exactly.
some people, we've had this conversation before. For some people, as a political topic, even wealth inequality is the thing that they need to be talking about. For others, it's the bigotry, it's the Christian nationalism, right? So people prioritize these things differently based on their own experiences and stuff, subjectively, right? So whenever we have those conversations about morality, they have like it's a nothing conversation because first of all their source is the Bible. God lays out his 10 special rules, and I know he does it more than once, but he lays out his 10 special rules, and then 2 pages later, after saying thou shalt not kill, tells them to go kill every living thing around them. Tells them to go and loot everything around them. Tells them to covet and steal and lie and kill and do all of those things. Tells them these other gods are real and that they are like he's just the head god figure. Like so all of these things, like if you're going to use the Bible as a source, then we have to talk about what it actually says. And
Exactly.
I think that's problematic for them. They don't they Christian apologetics right now is in a position to where they don't want to talk about the Bible at all. They'll
Mhm.
push all that they'll push creation and objective morality and all that other crap. They'll push all that stuff, but whenever you talk to them about it, and they're like, "Well, let's talk about what the Bible says about this." No, because it doesn't matter if the Bible's right and all powerful God, blah blah blah. And whatever way they get there, they're just defining a God into existence and then giving
That's
that
right.
God attributes that match their own moral position, right? It's actually quite funny to watch, I think, because it's like they don't even realize like every one of them has a different moral
Like,
list based on how they've defined God, because God is the figurehead of those morals. Like even though he's really not, they dilute themselves into thinking that it is based on faith, which is again make believe. I've had the morality conversation a number of times, but atheist and historian Bart Ehrman would say otherwise. Deviant, would he? Because Bart Ehrman, first of all, I know that Bart in the past has said that Jesus definitely existed, and that's one of the most supported things. I know he said that, but here recently he had a different take on that. If you go watch,
oh, really?
he it wasn't that he didn't completely backtrack and like take a different position, but he did point out that like yeah, there's it's a different conversation.
That's
Historians,
interesting.
though, if you want to talk to historians, Paul, your name's Paul. If you want to talk to historians, though, historians will tell you that you can't say that it's a historical fact that Jesus was a real person because it's not supported. Now,
Mhm.
it's not supported to the degree to make that claim positively, right? It's not, sorry, let me go back. So, so you can't, you don't have the, like, you don't have any, I don't want to say any, you don't have sufficient supporting evidence to make that claim. Now, you can say there's this question, there are these bits of evidence and these bits of circumstantial things that makes you believe that Jesus was a real person. And whether there was a real person named Jesus that was an apocalyptic preacher there or whatever is irrelevant to me, honestly. Like, I don't think even if you give that all that stuff is stories wrote about some guy named Jesus that was a preacher and had a following, even if you do that, it doesn't give you the supernatural claims and the all that goes on. So even if there was a person named Jesus, the book isn't about him. It's about what they made him into. Um, and so and Paul, I encourage you, go read about it. Like go look at what people have to say about this subject instead of trying to quote my Bart Ehrman. Um, go read David Fitzgerald's. He's got a series of books about like that really breaks down that this stuff about Jesus. But there's a specific book called Nailed. Read Nailed. That will tell you what you need to know. And you know whether you accept that or not, whatever. But I think that David Fitzgerald, first of all, while he doesn't carry the title historian, his education and background is sufficient to call him a historian, I do believe. We had that conversation if you go watch that video. But between that and his knowledge on this subject, it's a really good book. And even if you don't accept that book as true, go read it and come answer the questions he lays out in it. You know, Paul, if you want, you can do it from chat, or I can let you call in, or you can come on video, audio, whatever you want to do. Like go read Nailed. It's a really short, thin book. You can probably even pirate it somewhere, which I don't encourage. But go check out the book Nailed, and then come back and let's have that conversation if you want to talk about it, Paul. But like sitting here and just posting shit in chat about Bart Ehrman said this. We know what Bart Ehrman. You think we don't? We're not aware of that. Like we know Bart Ehrman's position. Bart Ehrman, though, his position on whether he believes that or not is irrelevant to his New Testament scholarship, right? That's again, you're trying to wrap that in and say, well, since Bart Ehrman is this New Testament scholar, and then he said this thing about Jesus, that it's somehow supported, but he doesn't support it either. In fact, it's really weird. Bart Ehrman, though, I think because of the books that he's wrote and the position that he takes, Jesus is a requirement, because that's what all of his talking's about. Misquoting Jesus is all about, you know, they got it wrong that Jesus actually was this person and did these things. Like, so, I mean, I think if Bart Ehrman took the position that he was a mythicist, that would be very bad for him. I'm not saying that's the reason he doesn't. I'm just saying, like, obviously he's highly invested in that position, is all I'm telling you.
No, I think you're absolutely right. In fact, I've made this point several times. I'm actually 50-50. I literally don't have a solid position either way. I don't think there's a good, I think both sides have an equally solid argument, in my opinion. So you can't really, to take a definitive position on something like that. Even Richard Carrier, he gives it like a 1 in 3 probability using Bayesian theory. So he's not even saying that it's guaranteed that Jesus wasn't a historical figure. But I think that what's interesting to me, and I pointed this out before, is that with all of the gatekeeping that comes from biblical scholarship, I attended seminary for a while, and the reason I didn't graduate from seminary is because I wouldn't sign a statement of faith. A lot of seminaries require you to do that, and that's a very disingenuous approach to scholarship. If you're going to sign a document that says, I'm going to affirm certain conclusions before you ever even get into the real world and start investigating things. Imagine if we did that with science. We would never get anywhere. You know what I mean? We'd have
Yeah,
bridges
yeah.
that are collapsing, rivers all
Have
over the
have
place.
you have you checked out the Clergy Project?
No, uh-uh.
Check that out with RFR. Uh,
I will look
we're
into it. You said the clergy project?
Yeah, yeah. Go look at it. And if you want to get a hold of me off stream or whatever, I'll talk to you about some people you can talk to who are actually in it that you may have some good conversations with.
I'll look into that. That's interesting. Yeah, the other thing that's in addition to the statement of faith, the other problem is that it's very much like such an enforced position within not just academia, but within people's livelihood. So if you want to make money as a biblical teacher, teaching theology, especially biblical theology, and you start coming around as a mythicist, that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Now, I
Right.
still think you can
You,
approach it from
yeah,
that
you
angle. I
can't.
do.
It's required. Like if you're, that's what I say. A lot of the people we call scholars are more exegetes than anything. They're not. What they're
Right. Right.
doing is not scholarship. It's exegesis, and uh, so which I'm not going to get deep into that, but the just briefly, exegesis just means that they're doing their scholarship through the lens of their belief. Just briefly. Uh, Man, Joe, it's been a minute since I've been on your live. I worked overnight MS for a while. Oh yeah, good to see you, Pariah. Thanks for coming back. Um, the Yeah, but check out the Clergy Project with RFR, and um, I'm glad to promote that because again, I'll be doing an RFR thing with Jess Monday night. So,
Yeah, I'll
but
definitely look into that.
so whenever we talk about historical Jesus, I think the biggest problem that you run into is as an atheist who's promoting mythicism or questioning the existence of Jesus, the apologist then wants to shift that burden for you to prove a negative, and they want you to prove that it didn't happen, right? And that's always their game with every conversation. It's a chess match of trying to shift burden. Whenever you talk to like a good apologist, not Kent Hovind, um, and it's always an exercise in trying to shift burden and defending against that. If we're talking like formal debate stuff, like that's the way they always take it. But the problem you run into and why it's such a complicated thing with mythicism, talking about it with theists, is because while they can't say that they can't make the claim that there was a historical Jesus, you can't make the claim that there wasn't. But they're the one making you have to keep in mind the structure of the argument here, because you have to keep in mind it's not that you need to say that Jesus doesn't exist. You just need to explain to them why their position doesn't sufficiently support that. And too many times we get into this like, well, I'm going to try and prove that mythicism is correct or that Jesus didn't exist or whatever. And as far as you're going to get, there are some there is a lot of evidence supporting that they just made it up and why they made it up. There is a lot of evidence for that. Whenever you look at the things that they misinterpreted from the Old Testament and tried to include in the New Testament, and things that they just got completely wrong about prophecy and all that stuff. Like whenever you get into that, you start finding evidence that their claim not only isn't supported, but that it seems not to be the case. But you can't quite get there. But as an atheist, I mean, first of all, their presupposition coming in is that God exists. Jesus is God and the Son of God and the Holy Spirit and all those things. The Trinity, which is completely not biblical, but they they come in with that belief. A lot of atheists go into that conversation though with the presupposition that supernatural stuff is impossible, or supernatural stuff didn't happen. And I hold that too. I take that position too. But whenever I'm having a formal argument about it, I can't prove that, and I understand that. So I can't support that beyond any reasonable doubt. But I can, to some extent, I can have a lot of evidence supporting it. What's up, Brooklyn Lou? Good to see you.
Hey, how
Well, I
you
did.
doing?
Good.
I I just caught your live stream. I was on another live stream and I got off and bango, you were here. So I wanted to jump in.
I'm glad you did. I was actually I've had some stuff going on or whatever, and I won't get into all of it. Is this gonna work? Am I gonna end up making my picture sideways doing this? It's all right. My phone's dying. But There was some stuff going on and everything. I was actually in the process of. Oh, there we go. Um, Inviting you on
Oh.
to
Well,
come talk to me. I
I
actually
was
wanted to have a talk
unaware,
with you.
but I'm always looking to speak with people. I love communicating with people.
Well, why don't you, if you don't care, shoot me an email at the Kentucky Atheist at Gmail so that we can talk and we can set something up. And I would love to do a one-on-one, have a show and talk to you. I
That'd be
just
awesome.
Things have
Do
been
you
screwed
have
up here lately, and I haven't been able to do a whole lot of that. But
an email on your channel, like in there?
yeah, it's listed on the channel too.
Okay, that's where I'll find it.
Are you on Discord?
No, no.
Okay. Actually, here. Let me see.
Hey,
Exclamation
Brooklyn,
point.
Brooklyn, before you go, too, I don't know if you're coming or going, but I just want to mention I reached out to you in your comment section. I don't know if you recognize my name or not, but I watched one of your videos where you had a Christian come on and talk about probabilities and things of this nature, and this is something I've looked into. So if you want
Yeah,
to have me come on and essentially debunk everything that he said, it's I'd be happy to do that because there's a lot of misinformation that he put out on your channel about probabilities, and
yeah.
and I
I've
I
seen
think.
you. I've seen you in comments.
Mhm. Yeah, if you want to have a discussion about that, I'd be happy to come on. You just let me know. You can reach out to me through that comment section and tag my name, and we could set something up. I'd be happy to because the probability of a natural explanation is always going to be greater than the probability of a supernatural explanation because of data points. And I could explain the whole thing. We don't need to get into it now, but by the numbers, probability is always going to be in favor of a natural explanation because we have so many data points that we can put into a natural explanation. So even when it comes to the fine tuning argument, we don't even need, he was trying to use a creative version of what's known as the watchmaker argument, and that's been well refuted. So I don't think you recognize it for what it is because he's talking about water bottles, and I can't remember the other thing that he mentioned, but it's all the same premise is that when you walk into a field and you find a watch, you're going to assume that that watch was made by somebody, and that argument falls apart because it's essentially a red herring in that the watch isn't an organic material, and there's just other arguments we don't need to get into on
Do,
Joe's channel right now. But
do you know
there are.
that, so Kent Hovind made that argument when I talked to him, and I don't know if anybody caught this, but I took a different approach to it. I mean, I did discuss the point that, like, yeah, but we were familiar with man-made things and all that. But, like, what I said is that if you want to take the position, because you say it's created. Well, if you take the position everything's created that way, then you have no perspective to know anything that isn't created because it's all created. Whenever you take that position, and so when you do that, you've cut yourself off. You've cut yourself off from natural things existing, which I mean is the position that a lot of apologists take, is that there is no natural world; it's all created. Uh, um, but you can't make the watchmaker argument though if you do that because you're saying that you have no uh, exposure to anything that's natural, but you're saying this thing isn't natural. So
You
if you
have
don't
no way to falsify your own claim.
right, you don't have the foundation to make that argument. Like it's a horrible argument. But that's just a different approach I took at it when talking with Kent. But with Kent, it's a different thing because I kind of play with Kent. I'm not really. I'm just messing around usually with Kent. It's
Well,
not like.
I did want to, when I had time with you, I did want to ask you a little bit about what we talked about regarding the debate situation, because you're absolutely right about what you said about objective morality. It was my debate to lose, and a 12-year-old could have won that debate. So obviously I won the debate, but I'm very critical of myself because I will try to always improve, not to be just down on myself, but to try to challenge myself to do better at everything in life. And I think that served me very well. I think I would encourage other people to take that approach, frankly. But I definitely, I could have done a lot better in that debate because this is really my first formal debate. And I'm sure you're familiar with Brother Mark Reed, who is an excellent debater. And he left some really positive, constructive criticism, and which
Yeah.
I took notes on. I agree with everything he said. And for anybody who's in this chat, if you want to go check out that debate, I think you might find it interesting. For one thing, But any constructive criticism, I'd love to hear your feedback, not only on my performance and things I could have done better, but also about my theory about the natural law of morality. I do believe that there is a natural law of objective morality, and this is all new to me, so I'm kind of trying to formulate good arguments for this. And so I'd like people to challenge me on that. And the other thing is I just got offered today to do another formal debate against a Christian about biblical morality. So I will appreciate it if you guys want to check that debate coming up. And I do expect to perform significantly better than I did in this previous debate because I've learned a lot from this last debate. And again, any feedback that you guys are willing to give me, Joe, I know you are a very good debater yourself. So if you have any constructive criticism or anything of that nature, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I know I could have done better, and I just love any input that you guys would
It's
be gracious enough with your time to offer.
I find it funny when people say that I'm good at debating because I don't really put much effort into it. It's kind of I I mean, don't get me wrong. If some subjects I do like. Speaking of Mark Reed, I debated Kyle Adams over on Mark's channel a long time ago about flood
Okay.
mythology, about Noah's Ark and the flood and stuff. And
Wait,
um,
before you go, I gotta tell you, you're gonna love this. Hold on, Joe. Let me tell you this one real quick.
yeah, yeah,
That's one of my favorite things to debate because I'm actually a boat manufacturer, so I'm well qualified to debunk the whole art situation. But I
yeah.
love debating that flood. Yesterday, I got into I won't call it a debate. It wasn't formal, but it was an informal debate against a guy who's a King James onlyist Catholic and he's like, "Oh, what do you want to debate?" And I says, "Well, my favorite topic would be the flood." And so we get into this flood debate, right? Is how it starts. Well, it turns out that he's a flat earther. So it really devolved into from a debate about the flood to a debate about flat Earth. And how are you going to debate about a global flood and tectonic plates and all the different problems with it when the guy thinks the Earth is flat? Like literally, like at this point, I'm thinking, is this how far we've sunk in society? I thought we were supposed to be getting smarter. What is going on here? I'm sorry to be
Yeah.
rude and cut you off, but I
No,
couldn't
no,
believe
no,
it.
no. You're perfect. The so I talked about earlier that I debated on MDD a long time ago. I debated T Rock from over at Standing for Truth about flood geology, and that one of my problems with MDD was is they told me a different topic than they told T Rock, so we were kind of on different pages, but what they had told me does the question was does the fossil record support evolution was supposed to be the topic, and they told T Rock does the uh, does the geologic column exist or some shit like that. Like it was something completely different, and but I mean we made it through it or whatever. But that's that's one of the things that he tries to make all these arguments about, like as far as like the tectonic plates and the continents speeding around the earth and all that stuff, catastrophism, is that the right word? I think it is. He
Did you ask
tries to
me?
make he tries to make an argument from that position, and where it fails, which is funny because T-Rock is a engineer, and I mean seems like a pretty smart guy. I mean he believes some bad things, but he's a nice guy and stuff and all that. But the thing that he kept getting into was the mechanisms that drove this, and I was like, "Well, you're an engineer, dude. Like you don't you keep putting up these crazy mechanisms and like, well, if I can give a mechanism to how it worked, then it's true, right? Like if I can say that if I make the claim that the flood's real and whatever, forget Noah's Ark for the moment, but if I say the flood happened, um, then I have to explain the mechanisms that allow that to happen because we don't see that. So he starts talking about these major cracks and explosions and the continents moving, and I was like, yeah, dude, but all that catastrophic stuff you're talking about, we don't see any of that. Like there's no that would leave evidence for sure, and
Well,
that's really the
the biggest problem with that is the heat problem. The heat problem is a silver bullet for
oh
this
yeah
whole flood
yeah.
myth, and
Well,
that's where
I
my
don't
debate
ever
with this
use
other
the
guy.
heat problem. I might like refer to the heat problem briefly, but I don't ever use it because it's such a good argument because it's over at that point. Because they either have to say it's a miracle or accept science or deny science, right? Like there's they
Well, apparently the third option I discovered yesterday is just to say the Earth is flat, because that's another way to get away from the heat problem to a certain degree. I
yeah, but
mean,
I'm
there's
not
still
taking
going
them
to be
serious at
issues with
that
the
point.
fact. Exactly. Yeah, the heat
uh,
problem is a silver bullet. There's no doubt about that. And I actually, I don't know, are you familiar with the hydroplate theory?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's there's a actually when I first came across the hydroplate theory, there's a Christian who's a biblical literalist that has at least one PhD in geology. Now he's not an engineer and he's not a physicist, but he is literally pushing this hydroplate theory, which the heat problem would have is a major issue with the hydroplate theory, and the other issue is Newton's third law of motion, because according to the hydroplate theory, as you know, all the asteroid belt supposedly came from the planet Earth, and you cannot launch the asteroid belt off of the planet Earth without decimating the Earth itself, because for every action there's an
you,
equal and
you
opposite
can't
reaction. So
launch planet killers off the planet and not have an opposite
exactly,
reaction. Yeah. Uh,
exactly. That's exactly. So the physics just fall apart. But this guy's got to be very educated, very smart. If he's got a PhD in geology, I mean, how does this map out? I don't know.
well, I think what happens is I think you have a couple things here because you have people like the Discovery Institute, which is obviously like financially backed to do the things that they do. So there's that, right? There is that group, and we can show that there's some of that going on there. In fact, Jay Bundy's debate with Michael Behe, which was just a perfect debate. I mean, like it was good. Um, Jay's debate with Michael Behe, he exposed a lot of the corruption and things that's going on in the background there. And I think that so you have some of those people. Then you have people like the ICR who have in their mission statement says that their only goal is to go out and engage in debates with atheists to cast doubt on evolution to grow their flock. Like that's it's it's propaganda to begin with. Like the whole debate thing, like you're just taking part in their propaganda from their point of view. There's reasons to do it still. Don't get me wrong. The but and then you have some people who hyper focus on one thing, and I think that's what's happening there. Because yeah, you can say, well, I've made it to where this theory works, and it could have happened this way, and blah blah blah, all the contradictions aside for the moment anyway. um, you can do that, but whenever you don't look at the big picture, you forget about the implications of the thing that you're claiming. Like it has implications on all these other things. Well, if you do that, how does this work, and how does this work, and how does that work? And we've got this heat problem, how are you going to address that? And we've got all these problems with that, and sometimes they just get hyper focused on one thing. And uh, if you wanted to argue with me that the hydroplate theory in itself, just alone, the hydroplate theory is a rational explanation. If you wanted to give that, it depends on what nuance we put in there, right? Like it depends on how much we're going to discuss in that conversation, because you could talk through the hydroplate theory in a way that makes it seem somewhat, I mean, I don't think it's reasonable, but like you could convince people that it's reasonable until you actually start having that broader conversation and you apply that to nature and reality. And then you start having it causes contradictions with other things that we see. So you can get to the point with that one to where you can actually say we know that didn't happen. But
Well, a perfect example of what you're talking about is there's a guy named Mike who I have a real problem with, because we've been debating before and having very cordial debates right up until he started saying that biblical slavery, any slavery, is not immoral, and that he owns his children like property, and that really pissed me off. And I actually, that's where I lost my cool, I will admit. But at any
yeah,
rate, so he has been trying to come at me. He won't debate me. I've said, listen, that's it, gloves off. We're going to have a debate about this. We could debate anything you want at this point, and
well,
he won't do it. So he's posting videos trying to attack my positions and stuff without actually addressing me directly. And he recently put out a video because I've been very critical of the flood thing we're talking about right now. And he got Grok, which is an AI program. You're probably aware of it. And he literally had posted a video where he got Grok to admit that there was a global flood was a certainty, because he, and in his own video he says, okay, Grok, We're not going to use any scientific method, no scientific consensus, only observable science. How many um, accounts of a particular event with the matching details, where all the details match, does it take until you get to a 100% certainty? And so Grok gives him a number. He says, okay, so if I have 200 matching accounts uh, that the global flood happened and all the details match, does that mean it's a absolute certainty? And Grok says, yes, the global flood was an absolute certainty. And he smiles into the camera like he's just accomplished something. You know what I mean? He lays out
Yeah.
all this groundwork where he literally eliminates all of the arguments off the table automatically. And then he lies and says he's got 200 accounts where all the details match. And it just, I'm watching this video and I'm thinking, this guy is such an idiot. He actually thinks he's so proud of himself. He's just like,
Let
wow.
me tell you,
But that's exactly what we're
if
talking
he set
about.
up that many accounts to agree, like he spent a lot of time on that, like a strange amount of time.
But he never cited any of these accounts. He never said these are the accounts, and he also didn't say,
Yeah.
well, there are some details that agree and some don't. So his premise, even though he didn't articulate it, is that we have 200 global flood myths, and so therefore that's 200 accounts in agreement where the
Oh,
details match. But they're all different stories when you actually, and so he
the
just
details
completely
don't
manipulated.
match, right?
No, not at all. You
If
get a
if
global flood.
if the details did match, then we would call it plagiarism, not a myth. That you plagiarized a mythical book from Mesopotamia is what you did.
Hey, was that Mike, the comic
It
artist?
was. It was. Actually, you're right. His name is Mike. He's a total piece of trash, and I'm not trying to encourage anybody to dox anybody or any and harass people. That's not what I'm out here to do. But I
Yeah, we
think
don't
if
do
we're
that.
going to really harmful behavior or encourage harmful behavior, like saying that you own your children as property, and so there's nothing wrong with slavery, I'll put this guy on blast all day long. And he's got a YouTube channel that Brooklyn Lou is familiar with called he used to call it Reconstruction Zone as a play off of Justin's Deconstruction
Oh,
Zone,
I
but
know who
he's
you're
since,
talking about.
oh yeah, that guy is a
Yeah.
notorious piece of shit. He's an
I
absolute piece of shit.
Yeah, he hit me with copyright strikes a long time ago.
Hmm.
Whenever I did it on his regular channel, I forget what it's called. But the yeah, that's goofy shit. So in like the last five Christians or apologists that I've interacted with, like three of them had the whole conversation using AI, which
Mm-hmm.
I had to, like explain again why that's a problem. um, the AI, and that's one of the things. Like, I think AI is an awesome tool, and I love that creators have found ways to use it to make their videos better and to do things with their videos. But whenever you start using AI, and it's because it gave him good stuff, he just didn't bother to click on any of the sources. He read what the AI said. Right.
Exactly.
And if you go and start looking through those sources, yeah, there's a lot of Christian sources out there that say that shit. So AI is going to find that and say it. But there's also a lot of problems with it that's out there and easy to find too. With you don't even need AI, just do a Google search. Like the so I have a lot of problems with the way that they cite AI because it's like it gives you sources for those things. If you want to cite those sources, then cite some reputable sources that support that. Don't tell me AI said it and that's the source. Tell me what sources AI used because it lists those. Tell me what it used to come to that conclusion, and then we'll talk about the validity of those sources.
So, as
That's
you are
where
probably
I
well
go.
aware, there's a logical fallacy that a lot of people misunderstand called the appeal to authority fallacy, and a lot of
Yeah, they
people think
do.
all the appeal to authority fallacy is by citing an authority that's not actually an authority in the field. But
That's
there's a
not a
nuance to it.
professional, not an expert. Yes.
Right. But there is another nuance to that where you can actually still commit that fallacy by quote mining an actual authority if their argument itself has not been accepted by the majority in the field. So
Right.
even though they might be an expert, if their actual argument isn't accepted by
Yeah.
the majority or the consensus, then that's a fallacy as well.
Right.
The other
Right.
thing you
If
too,
I come
which
and tell
is
you what some physicists said about geology, and try to. And the fallacy is that whenever you make it a point to give their credentials to support their position, right? So I say this guy's a PhD in physics. He knows what he's talking about. He's a smart guy. He understands this geology. That's an appeal to the authority because it's outside of his scope, right? So, yeah, but it's appeals to authority. It's funny because I get accused of that all the time whenever I cite actual science. Like I'll cite a scientific paper and they'll say appeal to authority. I can't stand talking with apologists who try to use uh, fallacies and don't know what they're talking about. Like again, I'm not an incredibly intelligent person. You know, I've made it through life. I guess I've survived. I've got a lot of street smarts. I can handle myself in prison. But as far as like sitting here and knowing everything there is to know about fallacies and logic and philosophy and all that, I don't know those things, and I'll openly admit that. But I know enough to whenever you start accusing me of fallacies, I'm going to look those up and see. Okay, well this means this, and I've learned a lot of those because of that. Just because apologists will sit and say that's a black swan fallacy, it's special pleading, circular reasoning. Uh, they rarely get to equivocation because that's the one they like to use. But they throw all these fallacies out there all the time, and I'm like, dude, quit using fallacies if you don't know what it means. I'll tell them straight up, just quit. You're making yourself look silly. Quit throwing fallacies out when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's what I did to Eric Lionheart.
I've met Lionheart too.
It was on your channel, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't. I mean, I've never like really got into it with him, but I've
Dude,
met him online.
he's a pain in the ass, man. I cussed him for 30 minutes on my channel.
He was
I,
very friendly to me, but we didn't really
I
get
sat here
into
and
it.
said "fuck you" to him. Fuck you. Shut the fuck up. We were supposed to be having a debate. I completely lost it halfway through the debate and just cussed the fuck out of him, called him a dishonest asshole and a piece of shit and everything. Like, yeah, I wasn't very nice.
But he probably
You're
wasn't
actually
nice to you, right?
no,
See,
he was
he
being a
was
dishonest fuck.
on one of my
He
lives
he
and was really, really soft spoken and didn't really get into anything
so
much.
so so what happened is that whenever he had sent me an email or something, and I talked to a lot of my friends on Discord. I have a lot of creator friends in this sector, like I've been doing this a couple years. I know a lot of people. And so whenever these people come up, I'll reach out to my friends and be like, "Hey, have you ever talked to this guy? What's he about?" or whatever. Like, is he going to? Usually, the question is he going to cause problems? Is what I'm asking. Like, is this guy going to come on and start spouting anti-LGBTQ stuff or what? Because that happens, right? So I talked to some people and they said, "Oh, dude." They said he's going to bring up Mary Schweitzer. That's going to be his argument. And I was like, okay. So I went and got the clips of Mary Schweitzer before I ever talked to him, saying that creationists need to stop doing that, and like her telling them they're wrong and they're misrepresenting her science and all that stuff. I got clips of her saying all that. And every time he would bring up Mary Schweitzer, I just play the clip. And I said, "How are you going to use a source that disagrees with you? Like you think you're coming here like making some profound scientific claim, but the source you're using to make that claim says that you're getting it all wrong and that you're wrong about all those things. So how are you going to use that source? And your source contradicts the claim that you're making. It's what do we have to talk about?" And he kept. Then he started to call me stupid, essentially. He was saying because I didn't know something about the half-life of collagen or some shit that you didn't even know this. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. I can read what the paper says. Like, and but he decided he wanted to be a dishonest fuck, so I treated him like one. Um, it was kind of funny, actually. Go watch it.
I'll tell you
well,
that
to
when he
touch
was
on what you
on
said.
with me, didn't barely say much, very, very soft spoken. So
Lionheart
but I wasn't debating him, you know. It was just
Lionheart is the only. In fact, most of my audience gets on my ass for going too easy on these people a lot of times. And Lionheart was one that was just. But if you go watch any of my debates, I'm a perfect gentleman in all of them. I'm calm and collected and usually pretty well on my toes whenever it comes to debate time. Like I'm paying attention. And you know, he out of all my interactions with people, though, that's the only time that I've ever sat and acted that way to someone. And I apologize to my audience and stuff. I haven't talked to him. I actually, in order to get him to come do the debate we did, I had to agree to debate him on another channel about some Mary Swatzer bullshit. And I kept trying to get him to change the topic because I said, you're just going to lose. I'm just going to play that clip again. Every time you say Mary Schweitzer found this, I'm going to play a clip of her saying no, she didn't. So if that's the position you want to take, and his thing was then to switch gears and go into conspiracy theory, right? So they're getting paid, and it's all they're just hiding it because whatever money and all this other shit, and like if you want to propose that there's some kind of conspiracy going on here, then show it to me. Like, okay, if there's this financial thing in science that's skewing everything and they're just lying to us about everything, then show it. And they can't because it's bullshit.
Yeah, something you brought up that I wanted to touch on before we move too far past it because it was relevant to both two different things. You mentioned AI, and we were talking about that piece of trash, Mike. I had a debate on his Discord, what started our interactions. Um, he invited me to come onto his Discord because he made a comment that everything in archaeology backs up the Bible 100%, which is obviously just demonstrably false. So I said, "Hey, I'll debate you about this if you want to." He said, "Well, come onto my Discord." So the premise of the debate was going to be about, does archaeology back up what the Bible says? And so I picked. He said, "Go ahead." I said, "I can pick up some examples and show you where archaeology actually shows something different than what the Bible says, and it's so easy to do." So I picked the book of Daniel because that's such a hot mess historically.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
so much archaeological evidence from that period, and I listed out a number of things like Belshazzar was never the son of Nebuchadnezzar. Darius was not the son of Xerxes. I mean, there's just a few different things. Belshazzar was not a king, and all these different things. And I actually cited the archaeological evidence that we have, such as the Van inscription, the Behustan stele. I mean, we have so much archaeological evidence. So I actually cited a piece of archaeological evidence or multiple pieces for every claim that I made, and I cited the peer-reviewed work and the scholarship on it. Right?
And let me
He
guess,
went
you
to
brought up Ron
AI.
Wyatt's findings.
He went to, that's actually another thing though, but he didn't. But he went to AI and basically let Grok do the whole debate for him, and he
Oh
even
yeah,
admitted that's what he's going to do. And you know
that's what
what?
Eric did too.
He did not come up with a single piece of archaeological evidence that verifies what Daniel said in the Bible because it doesn't exist. And after going around and around with him hiding behind not impossibles without providing any actual evidence, I said, "Well, Mike, this debate seems like it's going to be over at this point. I'm going to go ahead and count this as a win. Now, if you ever come up with some actual evidence, I'd be happy to get back into this." And he says, "You admitted that it's not impossible." I said, "Yeah, because I'm an honest person, unlike you, Mike." I says, "But here's the thing. This was a debate about archaeological evidence. How did you win a debate about archaeological evidence without providing a single piece of archaeological evidence? Are you like living in your own universe here, brother, or what?" You know what I mean? Like, and this is the problem
Yeah.
with AI is that he's just citing all these arguments. There's no source material for that. When you actually look at the source material, there's no evidence. It's just argumentation being made by different biblical scholars who all have an agenda that are coming up with a not impossible argument in the face of actual evidence.
Yeah.
Mike, I go on his lives, and that I definitely have seen you on his lives as well, and
Mhm.
and my own. I've seen you, Objective Ethics, and the thing with Mike on his lives that really is fascinating to me. I never seen a guy get so crushed in his own lives. He like totally loses like every point.
Yeah.
And yet he keeps going and going and going. It's like
Yeah.
he loses every point. It's like
Well,
amazing but he keeps going.
faith is a powerful thing. They will lie to you in order to try and get anyone to accept their position. They don't care to lie to you. They one of the things, I think it's Kenneth Copeland who had said it's okay to lie if you're bringing people to the Lord, um, and so they will purposely misrepresent some of them, not all. I'm not saying all ever. Whenever I talk about social groups, I'm never saying all of them, but they will misrepresent science on purpose or use things like one of the go-tos is, well, and this is a quote mine also, where they talk about Darwin says that uh, if we were ever to see how's it worded in Origin of Species, if we're ever to see a species that doesn't fit um, so, selective, what am I trying to say?
Breeding,
No.
environmental pressure.
If we ever find a design that doesn't fit with random selection, that uh, not random selection, I can't. I don't know why I'm having a problem with this.
Natural selection.
Natural selection, right? That's what I'm trying to get to. Sorry. If we ever see something that doesn't follow that, then his theory completely falls apart. He says something similar to that in Origin of Species, right? And but what he's trying to say there is that he's showing the falsibility of the theory of evolution, the
Mm-hmm.
falsifiability, which is required.
Yeah.
But he's telling you what you need. So instead of talking about him sleeping with his cousin or whatever, why don't you provide that? The thing that shows that he's told you what you need to show that he's wrong. They don't have that, right? In fact, evolution arguments with creationists are so fucking silly from beginning to end because they they have nothing and they know it. They know they have nothing, but they still just repeat all these arguments, the same
Mm-hmm.
arguments. And I try to whenever I hook up with hook up. Let's not use that. Some people take that the wrong way. Whenever I get together with theists and I'm going to have a conversation with them, I'll tell them ahead of time in email. I'll be like, hey, you can leave all your arguments at home. You don't need to bring those. Like, let's have a conversation and talk about this. I'm more interested in what you believe than you just repeating the arguments, what you believe and why. Like, I'm more interested in the mental gymnastics that you take to get to that position than you coming at me with stupid ass arguments that have been debunked a million times on YouTube and everywhere else. So I try to get them to come and have just honest conversations. But like that last guy I talked to, nice guy, and we're probably going to talk again. He sent me a video last night of Stephen Meyer, Michael Behe, and the guy that debated Dawkins and is a teacher at Oxford. What's his name? John Lennox.
Yeah.
It was all three Discovery Institute members, right?
Is
They're
that the one
sitting
where they're
down.
sitting at
They're
the
they're
breakfast
talking
table?
through all this irreducible complexity and intelligent design and all that bullshit. They're sitting there talking about all this stuff, and they they just say the silliest shit. Like, well, this is possible, so that means that my position is possible. It's not that your position is impossible. It's that not only is it not supported by sufficient evidence, there's actually a lot of evidence to the contrary. And that's the thing we need to talk about. And that's why we end up having all these conversations about morality and whatever else garbage you can find in the Bible. There's a lot of it, right? Like, uh, here when my girlfriend starts her period, I'm gonna have her go kill a couple birds down at the creek. The tells you to do stupid shit like that, right? And it's like it's just so silly. And that you get into people like Ray Comfort who are like, well, they figured out by telling them to go do this, kill these birds and do all this ritualistic thing that hand washing was a good thing. So there's science in the Bible now is what he tries to say. And I mean, that's that's beyond stupid. And when you look at Ray Comfort and you see how like just ridiculous and awful he is, it doesn't get any better from there. It's just different forms of the same thing. Like they never say anything new. I would be any creationist who wants to talk about any topic that's required for creation to be true. I will do it on the spot with no preparation whatsoever. If you want to have that conversation, like because it's stupid, and and I can easily I could go right now and pull up Talk Origins and type in evolution or whatever, and get 100 different expert sources on that topic. Like, I mean, and you're going to come at me with a source that
God of the
disagrees with
gas
you,
palace.
right?
God of the gas
Or
palace.
cows give birth to cows. There's 360 different kinds of cows out there, and whenever they have a baby, I guarantee you, every one of them has a cow. It's if you can't see it, it's not science. Uh,
Well, you
but
even got the accent down and everything like that.
I so something you don't know, and maybe I'll grow some balls and do it one day. But I can do a whole bunch of impressions, like pretty good. My girlfriend compliments me on the different impressions. I'll do it one day. I'm shy about that. Like, see, I was like, I wanted to when I was a bit younger and before I had heart surgery and all that shit. I wanted to like do stand up comedy and stuff, and um, you know, just have fun with it. So this is always kind of that's why I kind of the format of how I do things is a little different because usually my show starts like it may have a title, it may not. Um, and I just talk about whatever I want to talk about. I don't give a shit anymore. I care less. I tried to I tried to play the numbers game and all that stuff, and we're just going to depend on luck from now on.
You know, on my channel, I will when I do a live, I open it up to any topic.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care what the topic is. It could be
Well,
even off topic for me. I don't care if it's about sports. I'll talk
yeah.
about sports.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is that a lot of these people on the Christian fundamentalist side, they come on with a specific agenda to
Yeah.
talk about one particular thing. And sometimes they might have more study in that subject than I do. All right. You know, they've spent many years studying one thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they might have a grasp of the data better than I do. But I never feel at all like I'm over my head because
No.
I honestly
Right.
believe that it's just simply I'm on the right side. It's
Right.
like,
That's what it is. You have the truth on your side. Fact. You have
yes,
facts and reality on your side.
yes. So it doesn't really
Okay.
matter. So you know, you could have this expert in this particular field, and they
Yeah.
don't even do a good job when faced with common sense, you know.
You
And
know,
then
I was kind of concerned. Like whenever I first started doing this, I was kind of concerned about like my first interaction. Was I ready to have a conversation with an apologist or a theist about those things? And I wasn't sure, you know. And it took a lot until I was like, I'm just going to do it, and you know, like they're full of shit. I'm right, so I should be able to pull this off, you know. Like, and I got in that mindset. But whenever I first started talking to him, my fear was that I was like I wasn't so sure if I wanted to deal with some of these like doctors and like these people with these big credentials. I was kind of scared of it at first, you know, like it intimidated me. I admit it, and I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do that. And it was actually through watching some of the doctors and stuff that Standing for Truth would have on, and every time, whenever they would make these arguments for curation, it was like straight debunked old bullshit usually, and eventually I got to the point to where I was like, you know what? Like, you know, it don't matter. I will have this conversation with anyone. I don't care. Like you and most people I talk to, atheists or otherwise, are smarter than me. But it doesn't matter because you're full of shit too. like,
yeah, it's like
uh,
that guy
Well, let's
Mike.
what you mentioned. what you mentioned. Oh, sorry, Lou. Let me just real
Yeah,
quick,
go
because you
ahead.
touched on something that's very important here, and there's two elements to it. The apologetics is not meant to convince somebody who's a skeptic. It's meant to affirm what somebody already believes. And when it comes to the
Mm.
dishonesty aspect of it, they are willing, openly and unashamedly lying to their people they're talking to. But what that really is an indicator when somebody is that compulsive about that behavior is they're willing to lie to themselves first.
Oh
And this
yeah,
is why I
yeah,
try to be very critical of myself, and I try to be really brutally honest with myself, because I wasted a lot of years trying to get my shit together, lying to myself, avoiding responsibility and running from the truth and running from my own actions and my own accountability. And once I switched that, flip that switch, which took me sitting in a prison cell. You talk about prison. That's exactly where I came to the reality that, you know what, this sucks. I'd rather be on the outside with my beautiful wife, raising a family and doing things right. And I've been carrying around all this emotional baggage, blaming everybody for stuff that's out of my control, and then not taking responsibility for the stuff that is in my control. And when you flip that switch in your own mind and you embrace the truth within yourself first, then you can be honest with other people. But
sure.
apologists, and frankly, theists in general are not willing to be honest with themselves. And so,
Oh,
therefore, everything that comes out of them is going to be dishonest. And that's
I
not a dig on, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that's just the way it is.
I
Well,
totally see that because they have to keep the story going in their own
yeah.
mind. So they
So
can't
Exactly.
actually look at things objectively. They can't do it because they
and
have to see it within this belief system that they just cannot go outside of. All
yeah,
right. So,
Everything is founded on presupposition.
oh yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
you can't have a conversation with an apologist that doesn't have like a presupposition about God. It's not possible. They can't fathom viewing the world through a different lens. So they're not able to have a conversation where all things are equal, right? They have to start with, well, God exists. Even
Yes.
if they're arguing for God's existence, they use stuff like that to argue. But it reminds me of a spiel that Aaron Ra does, where he talks about creationism as the most dishonest position you can hold, and it makes you lie to yourself and everyone else. And when confronted with when confronted with sufficient evidence that things that contradict creationism, like evolution, are true, you're either going to make the decision to lie to yourself and say,
Hmm.
no, I'm going to believe anyway, or you continue to believe. And while I say make the decision, I don't really think it's a decision. I think like you're either convinced or you're not. Like, and that's the funny thing about this is like whenever they argue from that position, we as atheists, right? Many of us have belief before, so we can kind of understand where they're coming from and stuff. But a lot of times, uh, it's just like you could have made up anything. Like it gets so far out there. Like I was in a debate with Kent Hovind, and he brought up the Loch Ness monster. Like that happened. Um, pterodactyls and Loch Ness monsters and all that. Like ridiculous, right? Like it's not just that. And okay, so this apologist said this ridiculous thing, but it's not just that. It's how they view reality, and not just nature reality. It's how they view other people too and their social interactions, and it's incredibly dangerous. Um, Creationism, especially, and I hear a lot of people, and I think objective ethics. I even heard you say something similar to this. Is that most Christians don't believe in creationism or young Earth creationism. Well, Pew Research says that 40% of adults, well, 38% of adults in the United States believe that the Earth was created in a single event less than 10,000 years ago and that we all descended from Adam and Eve. 38% of adults in this country believe that. Um, Now, in my state, it's like 45. I live in the middle of creationist hell. Like it's everybody here is a creationist. They're all. That's why that boat's here, is because everybody in this like part of Kentucky is creationist. They all believe. And honestly, I grew up thinking that nobody thought anything different. Like I didn't even know there was a different perspective on it until I was like 25 years old. Like that's part of the problem. Like indoctrination is real, and it also the definition of indoctrination, because a lot of times apologists won't like it when you bring up indoctrination, because they'll be like, well, you're indoctrinated in atheism and you can be indoctrinated in this and that, but you can't be indoctrinated in atheism, because part of the definition of indoctrination is that it requires that you not take a critical look at the thing you're being told. You have to accept everything at face value as true. That's part of indoctrination, and atheism is, it's the opposite of that. I reject your claim. It can't fit in that category no matter how you try to squeeze it in there. But I don't know. I don't make a lot of common arguments when I interact with them. I like to kind of just play it by ear and say whatever I'm thinking or feeling about it. Like I don't. And again, like I have a lot of people get on here and they say, "Oh, you're so smart," and "Joe, you're really smart," and did this, and I appreciate that, and it makes me blush usually. I'm shy about that kind of thing, but like honestly, I just have a good memory. I just remember stuff. That's all it is, and that's all you got to do. Like just to
I
remember a few
wish
things.
I
You can
had
write
a
it
good
down if you want.
memory,
I
Joe.
don't, but
That's my weakness,
yeah,
my memory. It's
yeah,
like I've heard so much and so many things because I've been studying and learning about religion and philosophy for so many years. But half the time it's like to recall it, I'm like, well, I know something and I just don't remember. But that's also age, right? Because I'm older, and I'm
yeah.
also a pot smoker, so maybe that's part of it. Yeah. you know.
I don't know about all that. I haven't. I know there have been studies on it. I used to use medical marijuana. In fact, I made a lot of money before marijuana became legal. I'm not going to lie; that was kind of a bummer in a certain way, because I grew some really good stuff. But over the years, as I've focused more on health and stuff like that, I realized that CBD was really what actually was helping me with my problem. So I just stopped smoking grass, and I do not know if there's a how much of a correlation there really is. And I know the studies have been done on this, but is it really how much of that is affecting your memory, or is it genetic, or is it a
Yeah.
matter of focus and
Yeah.
other things? There might be other factors that factor into that. And again, I'm not trying to encourage people to smoke or not smoke grass. I'm not for or against anything. In fact, I'm actually for naturopathic medicine. So if you have a pain
Yeah.
problem
I'm a
or other
supporter
issues,
of.
That's what I smoke for. Is
I support that stuff, and I use it every day. I smoke. All right,
so
but
I was a
I'm not
heroin
sure
addict.
if it affects my mind. I'm not positive because I'm
Yeah.
getting old too. I'm
right,
62.
right, right.
So it could just be age that's affecting a little bit where I go, man, I wish I remember something and I don't. You know?
I was a heroin addict for a number of years and an opiate addict. Used IV drugs for a long time and overdosed multiple times and been through prison and jail and rehab and all those things. Whenever I've been clean for 10 years now, but 11 years now. But whenever I've got a medical marijuana card now, but I completely quit smoking pot too for like 8 years, and then once I was like safely away from all those other things, and by that time I'd had the heart surgery and stuff. I'd been through a Suboxone program, so taking opiates for pain isn't a choice. So medical marijuana was like it's been great for me. Now in Kentucky, you're not supposed to smoke it though because it's medical. You're just edibles and but you can still buy flour and stuff because cook with it or whatever. Like, but so but I just smoke it. I don't give a fuck. The but yeah, so I spent a long time, deep. I mean, that I was 185 pounds. I'm like 320 now. I was 185 pounds and was like it was in bad shape. Had hepatitis. everything bad. And you know, marijuana has been a way for me to like help work on a lot of the pain and stuff I have, because my body's just broken. I've just I did too much. I did things you shouldn't do with your body, and I've here in last few years I had a motorcycle wreck, and I had an artificial valve put in my heart, 2 patches put on my heart. I had I've got screws and metal and stuff all in me and shit, and like I just broke down. Like I'm 43 now, and I'm paying for those things, which I knew that
Wow,
time would come.
you look so much younger. That's crazy, bro. Like
Yeah,
you could literally, I mean, you literally look like you could be in your late 20s. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I mean, I would have put you in your 30s easily. I never would have guessed. That's crazy. Well, good on you for. That's a lot to overcome. And these kind of things age you. They age you
yeah,
fast. They take
yeah.
you. They say they take years off
I
the
still
back
got my
end of your
teeth.
life.
I still got my teeth. No one else here does. Um, I'm not being mean about it. I'm just saying like that's the reality of it. Like I, Eastern Kentucky, the tri-state area, Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky. At one time, this was the worst drug area in the whole country, and it's not far off from it now. But they declared this area a high drug trafficking federal something or another, and so there's always like feds and shit running around here now. But like you drive down the street here and like people running around like zombies and shit, and like just crime and stuff is out the roof, and it's But I live in a deeply red area too, so they just want to put people in jail to arrest their way out of it and not treat them, and it's just not working. People are death. According to the coroner's office, our death rate due to overdose went up 600% in a single year. Uh, so it's crazy to live in like small town Kentucky, but we've got like the drug problems of a major area or something. Like it's bad, and there's a lot of other problems and stuff here too. But the I look forward to my goal now is to get me and my family as far from here as we can get, and eventually that'll happen. But right now I'm sleeping on somebody else's couch, so not today. But that's the goal. I'm not actually sleeping on someone's couch. I have my bed and stuff, but I'm staying with somebody else right now. So but
There's
that was the first step of leaving where I was, and there's a whole story there I'm not going to get into, but it's a very very serious safety situation. We had to up and leave uh, immediately for safety reasons. So there's that, but like I don't. I'm used to those things. Like that past though I told you about, like there's not really much you can throw at me now that like I mean sure I'll admit that things get bad or whatever, but you just learn how to handle that shit. Like it's just
Hey,
it's I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly.
hey,
Well,
I
I
want
mean,
to I want
some
to
parts of it.
add to that discussion because I have something to say that might just help somebody out there.
Yeah.
All right. I lived in a car for a while, maybe 6 months. All right. This is years ago. After I left Christianity. you know, when I left Christianity, I was broke. Completely broke. And I lived in a car. I lived in places where there was rats. I've lived in the ghetto. All right. And the one thing that got me through it all was actually just rational thinking.
Oh, sure.
That's it. I
Yeah.
mean, I refused to lose my mind. I believed I could think clearly. Having had left Christianity, you know what I'm saying? I felt like my mind was clear, and I've made it out. Now, there's so many different things that happened, that
Oh yeah.
enabled me to get out. But,
Becoming an atheist saved my life.
but
Absolutely.
that's I'm saying. I think in a way, mine too. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And when I look back, I don't look back at those times in the car as being necessarily like a horrible thing. I
Right.
think it was a learning experience. I didn't
Exactly.
take
That
it
I
like
say this all the time, Lou. I tell people, I say, all these awful things because I can tell some crazy fucking stories, dude. I've got some stories. Um, but all these things that happened, like I try to not sit and dwell on them and be depressed about it. I try to leverage them to my advantage to move
yes.
forward and to help other people not have to experience the things I did.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
positive way to handle it.
Yeah.
And if you have your mind, you have everything. Okay?
True.
If you have your mental faculties, you really have everything. That's how
So
I've always approached it.
Well, I think
I've
one thing that's important to mention too here, gentlemen, is like you both, and I think everybody's got their own story. I had a really rough childhood. My father was murdered when I was a kid, and my family got broken apart. I was on the streets when I was a teenager. I went from there to working in doing all kinds of thuggish activities, and ended up working in
right.
the adult industry. So I was working at strip clubs, and then went on from that to the escort business and stuff. And then went from there to prison. So I really, went really downhill fast. And when I finally turned my life around, I started when I got out of the joint by starting a janitorial company because nobody would hire a guy with the record that I had, being
I
coming
opened a
from my
computer
back,
store.
and I made good money. Put myself into college with that money. I went, like I said, attended seminary, did things I always wanted to do in life.
Yeah.
Sold that business. I ended up with getting into the boat building business. I've got 2 patents for my kayak design. I'm licensed by the U.S. Coast Guard to build boats. So you can take all the things that have happened in your life and you can use them as momentum to do some amazing things. But I
Yeah.
think the biggest benefit that we all have in society is trying to encourage and to motivate and to inspire people who are going through their own struggles currently. You know what I
Well,
mean? To commend
that's
people for going
that's my
through it
thing
and to
is getting other people to see that things they can relate to and that they want to talk about it too. And that's why I make a lot of this open panel stuff. A funny thing though, like being in jail too, like it was whenever I was in jail that I finally realized I was an atheist, and it was because of a book a nun brought to me. And this book was called A Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. I want to say, I forget who the author is, but uh, I read this book, and in it, it has parts where it's promoting spirituality, and it's written from a Christian perspective, but they try to not push that in there a whole lot. They try to stick to spirituality, and in doing so, they talk about the creation myth of a lot of other religions and ancient creation myths and stuff. And whenever I read that stuff in that book, I stopped immediately after reading it. I thought, well, both of these things can't be right, but they can both be wrong, and they're written by people, and maybe people just don't know what the hell they're talking about. And like maybe this is like because you see historically people who try to explain the natural world phenomena that they don't understand a lot of times because magic is an acceptable avenue to go to for them. They included magic and gods and all kinds of stuff as the explanation for those things. And whenever you look at it like that, and even Christians see it that same way, but they don't apply it to their own belief. It's cognitive dissonance at its worst. Like they are unable to see that it relates to their own position. And but for me, whenever I had already been questioning and I'd already learned about evolution and whatever, but I was like. I was like, I don't believe this is true. Now, I didn't say I was an atheist at the time. I was like, I don't believe this is true. Like, I don't believe any of this now. And then whenever I got out of that nun was actually like teaching people GED stuff. Now I had a diploma, but they let me go down there and I took this test called the Kentucky Employability Test. It's not even hard. It's a standardized test that you have to take. Like somebody has to come sit and observe you do it and all that shit, like the ACT or something or SAT for Most people don't. Not everybody has the ACT. So anyway, but so whenever I went down there and I took that test, I didn't miss a question on the whole test. I got them all. I got 100% on it. And whenever I did that, she's like, "Do you care if I show this to somebody?" And I was like, "I don't care." So she went down to the university down the road and got one of the advisors and gave them my stuff, and they came to the jail and signed me up for college while I was in jail. They said, "You need to go to college for sure." And so I did my first FAFSA and stuff. I did to get into college. I did it on paper because I couldn't use a computer there. And I got out of jail and went straight into university. And when I did that, I started learning other things, and I had access to resources I didn't have. I could go to the library and find books on fucking anything to do with the natural world. I could go to the library and say, "Hey, can I get a copy of this journal paper?" And because I was a student, I could get those for free. I didn't have to pay for them. So I could get journal stuff for free and everything. And it was, I was able at that time to not only get my degree in computer science and learn the things that I needed to learn there, but I studied several other things while I was getting that degree. I actually could have taken 3 different degrees when I graduated. I only took one of them. But then I went on to go to Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, and study computer science engineering. I was going to be an engineer. And I took all the 5 calculus classes and differential equations and artificial intelligence, and I took all the classes to do the thing, except for 2. And I ran out of financial aid and went on a drug binge, and that was the end of my college career. So I was two classes away from being an engineer. There were elective classes too, easy ones, but I don't. I can't get financial aid now. I could pay to go take a couple of classes, I guess, but I don't know. I'm not going to get a job as an engineer anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. Like, nobody's going to hire me. I've got 30 fucking felonies.
I I will say, when you said atheism might have saved your life, I feel the same way, because when I look back, there was this one time when I had been down and out. I was living in a shed in a buddy of mine's backyard. You know, we used to call it the subdivided tool shed, and I was living in it, right? And it was there that I finally concluded to myself that I didn't believe in God. It was like there was a point, because I was studying and on my own, not in school, just studying and trying
Yeah.
to learn. And I came to the point where I was faced myself, and I said, I just don't even believe all that stuff anymore. I just
Yeah.
don't believe it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what it came down
And,
to. Once you see the absurdity of it, you can't unsee it, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and when I came there, I had to accept myself. I had
Yeah.
to trust myself, maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
I had to say, you know what? I can create something. If I'm gonna
Yeah.
do something, it's gonna be up to me. You
Well,
know,
when I
and
first
that helped me. It helped me to get out.
when I first seen you come onto the scene, Lou, it wasn't long ago, but I forget who it was I seen you talk to, but you were relatively new to YouTube, I think,
Yeah,
and I liked your position and hearing you talk, and I thought you were honest and genuine about the things you were talking about, which is really the thing that I look for whenever I'm like, because one of the things I just talked about is the apologists. Whenever they come and they just come with their arguments, like, you're not getting anywhere talking to them. And so in even with atheists though, I look like, how are you addressing these things? Not, but not to say that, not to judge your level of, whatever your channel is or what you or anything like that. Just I think that in this setting, the atheist community the on YouTube that watches my channel, your channel, debates, whatever. Like they're not stupid, and they can tell if you're faking or if you're just like if you're trying to get over on them for another reason. And there's been some of this go on, is why I'm bringing this up. Like it's something I said previously that people are finding to be true. My predictive abilities are very, very, very good, especially when it comes to people. But I really liked watching what you had to say, and I watched you talk to a couple different people. And I don't know if you know Jess, How to Roll an Asteroid, but she is like my partner on this channel. She helps me with a lot of things. She's
No, what's her name?
Jess. Her screen name would be How to Roll an Asteroid. She also
Yeah, no,
does.
I don't think I've seen her. I don't think.
She's just started doing streams over on her channel, and they're really good. How to Rule an Asteroid. It's linked in the description. It's one of the first things you'll come to. But um, yeah, Jess has helped me with the Ark Encounter protest and all that stuff. And like I think I see a lot of the same motivations in people, and I like to see that. Like people who have just had it and they're like, okay, I'm going to talk about this one way or another, and whether it be debate or just talk about your personal experiences or whatever. I'm always happy to see new people coming into the space and talking their mind. The I think that one of the things though is like I remember Maya Atkinson told me, uh, you got to take your bumps, Joe. You're going through. You got to take you got to learn your lessons and take your. And I took some hard bumps that hurt. I had to lose friends and all kinds of things that I really didn't want to do because of the because of the because of the things that I hold close to me. Like I couldn't stand up for those things and allow that to go on. And so I've had to make some decisions, and I've made some bad ones, and had to apologize, and had to take my lumps. Like and there'll probably be more. I doubt they'll be as bad as like the Thomas Sheedy thing or whatever. If you don't know who Thomas Sheedy is, there's a piece of shit. But uh, I had an open panel like this, and he showed up. I guess he's seen Kentucky Atheists, and like just uh, he showed up though and brought like 100 people with him. And turns out he was president of Atheists for Liberty, which is like a huge anti-LGBTQ fucking like bigoted group of atheists. Like they do exist. Not all atheists hold the same ideas about things. But thank you, Deviant Outcast. I see it. Thank you. The I don't know. I try to not just make, because like it's my channel obviously, and I've got all this artwork and intros and all this different stuff, and it looks good and everything. But at the same time, like I usually make my conversations and things about other people. Like I invite atheists on my channel. I'll talk to believers when they reach out to me. Here recently, we've had like I did the Kent Hovind thing. They wanted me to do that. The I just asked for it to be on Les Farm's channel on YouTube also because I wanted to help him out. He's helping me on Discord, so I was like, "Hey, I'll debate Kent." It ended up getting a lot of views. It ended up being a pretty decent debate, I think. I haven't watched it, but I feel like it went well. My girlfriend was sitting behind the sheet, being quiet, my green screen, and I got done, and she was like, "Damn, that dude's an idiot. You kicked his ass." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I just I try to, even whenever I'm debating though, I try to, if I have an opportunity to ask like an honest, genuine question, not like not lead them down the path, because I can do that. Like I can just lead you to where I want to take you, and then destroy you there, right? Like because you're peddling bullshit. So I'm capable of doing that. Like the manipulation, I was a drug addict. I can manipulate people. It's easy. But I don't want to do that, right? So I actively, like, whenever I'm talking to them, if something comes up and that, like, I'm trying to think of something Kent said. About star formation. He's like, that's not science. We don't see the stars forming anywhere. You guys just, you see little spots of light and you make it up and say that they're stars, and that's not science. And I don't want it taught in classrooms. And so he says stupid shit like that, and I'm like, well, Kent, don't you like? You say that, but your sources are slides that are 30 years old, and it turns out we have seen stars forming in all different steps of formation, know exactly how it works. We've seen it happen in real time. Like, I don't, you're just wrong there. And so whenever I come onto things like that, rather than pouncing on them and just beating the shit out of them over with how stupid they are about that thing, um, I like to try and dig a little deeper at that. That I see those as openings to where I can say, "Why do you believe that's true?" Like, and then insert just a touch of street epistemology in it. And how sure are you that that's true?
I
Um,
will say this about Kent Hovind. Um, I used to see him a long time ago, and when I became an atheist probably about 12 years ago or so, and
cool.
I didn't go on YouTube,
Me
till
too. I think
recently.
mine's a little longer than that. Sorry. Go
Right?
ahead.
But I've seen Kent Hovind for many years,
Oh yeah.
and I don't think he's changed at all.
No,
He doesn't
listen,
really
it's the
adjust.
exact same script. No
Yeah,
matter
it's the
what
same stuff.
conversation you have with Kent, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And even I've been able to debate him on things other than evolution, and I don't know why. Because even like Austin Sims called him, which what he was trying to debate him on was kind of insulting. But like, even so, like, I've got Kent to debate me on the origin of the universe, which he doesn't do normally. He talks about it, but I got him to take that debate, and he lost terribly. Like, it was bad as far as like him making any sense. But the trick with Kent is to throw him off his script. When you throw Kent off his script, you've done it. And I know how to do it. And I'm not going to say it publicly because I don't want him to fix it. But anybody that wants to debate Kent, come talk to me. Go watch my debate. He was fucking mumbling and lost. He didn't know what to say about some stuff because there's a way to do it. And it's not what you think.
He is totally a script for sure.
Oh yeah, every
I
bit
mean,
of it.
it's
Like,
totally, like,
yeah,
completely a script that he's throwing
yeah.
out there, and it's
Well,
the script he's familiar with. It's like
yeah.
memorized. He's got it memorized probably for 20 years. You know,
Oh no, 30 years for sure.
yeah, and
Uh,
that's the thing. But
it,
he
his
doesn't seem
slides
to
that he
be
uses
adding
are the same
anything to
ones
the
that he's
discussion.
used for decades.
Yeah, and
They
he's
don't
not
change.
adding anything to the discussion at all.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. No,
Well,
no.
anyway,
I
guys,
don't
I
think.
gotta go. But thank you for spending some time.
Hey, Luke, for real, send me an email at the Kentucky Atheist at Gmail. It's on my channel. It's in the description too,
Yeah, I'm
of
gonna
this,
do
and
that.
it's even in the chat actually. But send me an email, and so we can work out a date and time and sit and have a talk and get into some of your history and talk about that.
Yeah, I'll give you an email probably by tomorrow.
Sounds great. Hey,
All right,
thanks for
you guys
joining
have a
us,
good one.
and you had some great input, and it was great talking to you. Feel free to come hang out anytime I'm live.
All right, guys, both of you have a
Yeah,
good
Lou,
one.
I enjoyed meeting you. I'll look for your channel sometime.
All
Yeah.
right, bye.
Bye, Lou. So, let me. I hate that I have to remove people from the screen that aren't here. It won't do it automatically. But so anyway, man. I'm gonna wrap this up. We're 2.5 hours in. I only planned on going 2 hours, but Dave said he wasn't gonna do Saturday Night at the Atheist tonight, so I went a little over. Usually, I try to redirect to Dave's channel, try to help him out and build some subscribers and stuff. Dave's a good friend. Um, but I will say this: like, I understand the way that people feel like, because you're practicing some sort of activism and you care about these things or whatever, and so you're trying as hard as you can and you're passionate about fighting against these things and stuff. I really do get it. And a lot of people though these days, are including myself, get down about things because of the way the world's turning at the moment, you know. And I know that it's tough right now, and there's a lot of bad shit going on, and it's hard to lose hope and stuff. But keep fighting, keep talking, keep doing whatever it is you do. Um, you know, it was just by chance that I was able to get control of the Ark Encounter protest thing, and set that up and organize it and pull it off. And it was sloppy. I've never done any of that stuff. I was open about that. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I had a lot of great people helping me, Jess and Jim and Chrissy and a lot of other people, Dave and Seth and Will. Will couldn't have done it without Will. But to me, it was a great accomplishment to be able to pull that off. And you know, so um, yeah, no Snata tonight. Sorry.
Well,
Um,
I just like to close by just saying just two things really quick, if I may. One thing
yeah,
is I want to really encourage people, and I'm not the best example. I'll be honest about that. I try, but I do lose my shit sometimes, like everybody else. But I really want to encourage people when we're having excuse me, when we're having these discussions with people. At the end of the day, these are human beings we're talking to. And
yeah,
a lot of them have been indoctrinated into this belief system. And there are other comorbidities, if you want me to use that word there, where they are so afraid of the afterlife. They're really, I hate to use the word legitimate, but very understandable reasons why they embrace the cognitive dissonance, why they embrace the dishonesty and approach it from dishonest perspective. So I would just like to encourage us, if we're going to set a better standard, then we need to be the example of that standard. Just criticizing these people, talking about the flying spaghetti monster and all the other stuff
yeah,
that I understand where this all this comes from, but I just would just encourage people to think, if you were in their shoes and you wanted to be talked off the ledge, how would you want that to be approached? You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I'd like to say. The other thing I'd like to do is just really, again, encourage people to take a look at that debate that I had. If you don't mind, I'll come back into this video after you post it, and I'll post a link to it, or maybe you can put the link up if you have, whatever you want to do, because I'd really like to.
I'll get it out of my Discord and I'll post it in the comments of this video after it ends.
Well, that would be
Now
so much appreciated. Because I really would
it
like
may
some
take a
feedback.
while for it to post the video on YouTube because these lives, it has to go back and process it and then it posts it. But as soon
Sure.
as it does, I'll put it up there. I'll put it in there.
Yeah, I'd love your guys' feedback. Don't feel like you're going to hurt my feelings, because I know I didn't do the
No.
best job. I have a debate
Hey,
coming up, and I want to sharpen my skills. And the other thing I'd like you
yeah.
to do is take a second and actually vote in the comment section. And I don't want you to be dishonest. Don't vote for me because I'm such a good looking guy, but but vote for who you really think won the debate and maybe why. Because I'd like people, in particular Christians, to be able to look at that and see where the criticisms are from the arguments that are coming. And again, if you think I lost the debate, put that in there. I got no problem with that, But if you think I won, I think it's a learning experience that people can grab onto, because debates, as you all know, are not for the debaters; they're for the audience. And the beauty of the internet is people can go to that video over the course of the next 1,000 years. Who knows? You know what I mean? And maybe possibly glean something useful from that. So, despite my poor performance overall because of my lack of debating skills and experience, I think there are some things to be gleaned from that discussion. So, I just appreciate you guys taking the time. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you having me here, brother. It's such an honor to, like I said before, to get to know some of the people from the community and to hear about your guys' backgrounds. Because as a lifelong agnostic, essentially, who's never had to deconvert, these are some really interesting stories for me to kind of get the perspective. Because when I talk about respect and reaching out across the aisle to someone you disagree with, there's a lot of baggage that comes from religious trauma, and religious trauma syndrome is a real thing, it turns out, which I had no idea this
Oh
even
yeah.
existed. So it's really
I didn't
fascinating.
know they called it that, but I can see why. I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
RTS. Yeah, there's some people who are starting to make traction on YouTube right now that have written papers about this. They have PhDs and stuff like that in psychology. And yeah, apparently there's a whole formal theory that's surrounding this. And I don't know if this is a brand new thing. obviously religious trauma is not brand new, but as far as
Right.
a formal opinion about it, but yeah, I'd look into it. But I'll get out of your hair, brother. And I just wanted to say thank you again for your time. It's always a pleasure to be in somebody else's house as a guest.
Yeah.
And anytime you want
Yeah.
to have me back,
Hey, yeah.
keep
Come
the
jump
topic.
on anytime I put the link up, man. Come jump in. You're welcome to.
Very
Open
good.
invitation.
All right, I'm gonna let
Uh,
you do your outro.
all right, cool. Thanks for coming, and everybody go check out Objective Ethics, and I will post a link for his debate here in a minute. It was on A's philosophy. I've got it in my Discord. I'll post it here in the comments or whatever though in a minute. But yeah, man, thanks for coming and hanging out, and I can't wait to talk to you some more. I'll post the thing about the debate, and maybe next week you can come back and we'll talk about it. He's gone. So all right, back to just me. All right, so real quick, I want to go back and hit a couple things here. Jester sent a $5 super chat. Joe is actually really mean and threw stuff at me telekinetically. You can tell it's true because I still support him. Yes, and you best keep supporting me, Jester. Damn it. I will toss that pencil at you you're looking at. Jester also, in supporting me because of my telekinetic abilities, celebrates 12 months of membership. Thanks, Jester. I truly appreciate that. That's quite the thing. Objective Ethics, let's debate this platform debaters just starting out. Yeah. I told him about you already, Let's Forum, but I'll give him some more information so that he can get in touch with you because he wants to do more debates. All right, so what do I say at the end here? Am I supposed to wrap things up all pretty and tell you everything's wonderful? I don't think I am, but I understand that there's a lot of emotions going on right now from everybody because current events in the world are kind of tough right now. Things are looking bleak, and we're already way past the point of no return. It's going to get worse. The Let's stick together and keep on doing this. I would like to. I want to make sure all my friends are safe and all that. So um, definitely definitely stay safe out there, and anything I can ever do to help you, I will. But I was hoping to join. Yeah, I'm sorry, Let's Farm. He told me right as I was getting ready to start. Deviant Outcast, who also made a donation a minute ago, said religious trauma syndrome isn't a diagnosis, it falls under PTSD, but it is legitimate. The reason it has a name is to highlight the religious aspects. Yeah, of course. Very good. So, anyway, I really enjoyed meeting Lou and getting to talk to Lou and Objective Ethics. We've had some great conversations already. I will. I spoke about a video with John Lennox and Michael Behe and the other guy and Stephen. Stephen. I don't know. I have a lot of problems remembering stuff today for some reason. But the I've got that long conversation that they had. I'm supposed to watch some of it and sit down and talk about it with the No Limits Ministry Reverend Brandon Hendricks guy, uh, and he believes those things are true. And the video that he showed me, I can absolutely debunk completely some of the things that are said by Michael Behe and Stephen, what's his name for sure. John Lennox just says silly shit anyway, and I don't really take him serious, but I'll take care of that too. But so yeah, as soon as I get a chance to watch that, I'll have to set it. It'll be a couple weeks out before I can get it scheduled so that we can sit down and talk about it. But we're gonna do that. I may just watch the video live with him. It may just be easier to do that, so I can just one at a time kill them as they come up. It's really bad though. It's creationists at its worst. But I've got some talks going on with some other people. Objective ethics. We're going to talk about your debate a little more. I'll watch it closely here in a little bit and take some notes, and we'll talk about it if that's what you want to do. And maybe I'll pull some clips of it, and I can show you points where that I'm talking about. From what I've seen, though, you did an excellent job. I mean, I don't think you know. I'm not the guy to give you notes on debates. I know people say that I'm good at debates and stuff, but I'm really not. I just got it. Just happened to pull it off that night. I winged the whole thing every time, pretty much. That's what I do. But anyway, thanks everyone that came and hung out today. I really appreciate it. If you want to become a member, they start at 99 cents. There's a button down there. You can click join. Click subscribe and like. That would really help the channel out a lot and do a lot for me. Just hit that subscribe button. Uh, this has been the first month where I had a net loss of subscribers. I lost 3 subscribers this month. But due to things in my personal life, I haven't been able to stream as often and stuff. And for a little bit, I plan to do things every Saturday, and I'm working on a show during the week. Monday, Laura will be on with me. Everybody will get to meet her and get to know her. She'll be here every week with me to talk about things a little differently. I think we've got a good idea for what we're going to do, and I think it's going to work really well. But we'll just have to wait and see Monday. But Monday afternoon around 1:00 p.m. Eastern, that'll come up, and so we'll do all that. I'm really excited about that. I've been waiting forever for Noah to go back to school, so I could have Laura come join me and we could talk about stuff. Some of you have met her, some of you have talked to her or whatever, but we're going to actually get her on camera here to answer questions and all that. And we're going to talk a bit about raising a kid in such a deeply religious red area as atheists, and some of the isolation and some of the fear and things that go into that. But that being said, I love y'all. I hope you're all safe and taken care of, and go join my Discord if you want to talk to me. The That's the best place to reach me, is on my Discord. It's in the chat there. You can click it. You can also find me on Facebook sometimes, but if you message me on Discord, I'll answer you back almost immediately. If you go to my Discord server, I try to at least acknowledge every serious post, like tell Laura you said hi. I will, Robin. She's not in the room with me today, but I will tell her you said hi. She likes you a lot, and you like her a lot. She'll be on with me on Mondays now, Robin. So we're gonna both talk. But she's gonna be my new co-host. Only it's gonna be live. I've got to get a studio set up. Let me see here. Let me take all this off, and I'll show you. I'm kind of embarrassed to even show you, but this is what I have to work with currently. And so I've got a lot to do. If you want to help out with that stuff, there's a Amazon wishlist link in the whatever it's called down there. I don't know why I can't. I'm having trouble with words. Whatever that thing is down there below the video, the box thing, the description. There's a link to that there if you want to help with that. Otherwise, though, not that I can't sit and do it just like this. I'm going to continue doing what I do. I've had a lot of personal things and a lot of stuff go on lately that has tested my humanity, and so things have been a little shaky or whatever. So I really do appreciate everybody that still comes and watches and stuff, and it's I'll get it back together soon. I always do. But for now, thanks for being there, and I will see all of you guys soon.